What's happening here that's not happening anyplace else?
I mean, the competitive level starts at 4 years old.
Classic rivalry.
Hall of Fame type coaches, great personalities.
All three schools, though, they changed the game of college football.
Florida State Seminoles.
Miami Hurricanes.
Florida Gators.
You want to dominate your opponents and you want to get stoned, make sure that you roll up.
What's happening here that's not happening anyplace else?
I mean, the competitive level starts at 4 years
It's
old.
the roll up, it's the vibes. Another beautiful day in the Sunshine State, and I'm kicking it with the illest. Larion, CJ, what it do?
Well, I go on. Here with my people today, man. Lovely Sunday. Been rainy all weekend. Kind of vibed out, chilled out weekend for the most part, man. I'm happy to pull back up, knock another one of these great shows out, man. What's going on, C?
Yeah, it's been pretty much the opposite for me, man. It's been rainy pretty much since I got back in the country, man. It's been raining every day, but the weekend it brightened up a little bit, so I was able to get out there and do my yard a little bit, do some couple of slabs of ribs on the grill yesterday. I got pretty good, man.
That's a swine killer, there, boy.
We got,
yeah, baby.
we got
Sniper with that swine, baby.
Big swine.
We got to talk some vacation. You got to put me in, you know what I'm saying, in the game on what was going on out there in Mexico, man. We got a big show today, but we definitely got to have some vacation talk later, bruh.
Oh, most definitely. It was a good vibe for sure.
All right, we got a big show on deck. As y'all know, we got Florida State legend Greg Carr pulling up to kick it with us for an interview. Then we're going to get into our regular docket. You know, we got some official visits on deck to talk about. We got whiffs and commits to talk about. The dead period is here. And also, July is going to be full of barbecues and wrapping up recruiting on the off-season trophies and whatnot. So we'll talk a little bit of that. But before we get into all that, man, make sure y'all pull up July 6th. We're going to be in Atlanta kicking it at the Trap Music Museum. The link is right in our description, in our bio, in the description of this show. You can find it on Twitter, but hit that link to RSVP. We got former Gators, Canes, and Noles pulling up to hang out with us. It's going to be, you know, giveaways, live media. We're shooting content. We're going to be revealing our website. But most importantly, we're going to be doing some content with some of your former Big Three people like Ernest Graham, Brian McFadden's pulling up, Janoris Jenkins is pulling up. So we're going to hang out and kick it right at the Trap Music Museum. If you're in the Atlanta area, pull up and hang out with us, man.
No doubt.
Most definitely, man. Cannot wait to get to Atlanta. Should be a real good vibe. Nole Nation, if you're in the Atlanta area, come hang out with us. I know some people on the Instagram on the Atlanta Booster Club that was posted. Shout out to nigga for getting that information out there. But yeah, so if you guys in the area, definitely come hang out. Like Silk mentioned prior, man, you know, Atlanta's our second biggest hub, so we expect a real decent turnout, man. I know a lot of Georgia people out that way that rock with the show pretty heavily.
No doubt. We're going to have some Georgia folks in the building as well. 100 Sanford, our Georgia podcast. George Foster and those guys, they pulling up to hang out, so he's going to bring some of his people over. It's going to be some vibration. We're trying to kick something totally different. This is our first ever media day. We're going to continue to run these annually back in Atlanta. So come hang out with us and catch some vibes. We're going to be kicking it right before tailgate season. Give y'all a little preview of a Big Three roll-up or a roll-up experience. See what the vibes is like. We got a big show, man. I'm ready to talk. So I've been ready to pod, bro. I got a laundry list of fireworks, bro. I got to get off, man.
Yeah, been litty over there. See y'all boys doing y'all thing, man.
Yeah, we're trying to pop a few shots, man. One time for the great folks, we got to get into this ad read. I want to bring Greg Carr on and kick it with us. Go ahead and get them ready, my man Stacks. Well, one time for the great folks at takeavacay.com. Be sure to visit takeavacay.com. Use coupon code ROLLUP at checkout for 20% off of all Delta 8 THC products. They have vapes in the flavors of cherry pie, bubblegum OG, Blue Dream, and also Straw Nana. They have gummies in the flavors of blue raspberry, kiwi, watermelon, and pomegranate. If you're not into THC, you got to pass drug test. That's cool. They got a sleepy gummy, which is all natural botanicals, ashwagandha, lemon balm, and melatonin. Get you a good night's sleep. Replace that glass of wine with something healthy. They get you, a full restful sleep. Wake up feeling like a new baby. Coupon code ROLLUP at checkout, 20% off. Everything's federally legal to your mailbox.
Got that bird back there?
My son.
Oh.
Thought that was a sign of Mike whiffing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Nah, he boy love whistling.
Shout out to that, man. We're gonna get Greg Carr on here to kick it, but outside of that, yeah, it's been rainy weather. I was contemplating if we were gonna be able to get this show going because my power was going on and off for a good little minute with the thunderstorms. But
it seemed like everything that's been up in Tallahassee this past week is kind of catching wind down that way.
Shit, we ain't had nothing but rain, dog. All week, really. It hasn't not rained around here every day.
You know me, I always
Big
talk
lightning
about
storms and whatnot.
I always talk about the grass and the water and all that, man. Come back and hope grass was looking beautiful, man. All that damn rain, but it wasn't no sun to follow it. Sure enough, the sun came out this weekend, man. Like, man, bring them clouds back, bring that rain back. 95 feeling like 106 out there.
all right, well, we're killing some time waiting on Greg to get loaded up here. What was give me the deets and the vibes of Mexico, man. What was it like out there?
Oh, yeah, it was real cool, man. Real cool vibes. And I felt right at home, man. Mexico was humid as hell, man. I'm talking about like midnight. You could feel it's like an oven once you go outside. I know there's a couple of people, because you know there's always people from all over. They were struggling with it, man. That humidity was beating their ass. But it was a real cool vibe. And also, man, did one of those excursions and went into the jungle. And that was a cool experience, man. Like a real cool experience. We talking to the tour guide. You know, you got jaguars and snakes and this, that, and I'm like, jaguars. Like, yeah, we got, it's like legit in the jungle, right? So, on your cell phone, usually when you don't have service or to say roaming, whatever it may be, but you still have some bars, right? Right. I had nothing on the top of my phone. Like, no bars, no anything. That was a cool little experience. And I went swimming in a cenote, which is like a natural swimming pool / sinkhole. 229 feet deep.
No.
Yeah, right. Crazy, right?
No.
People wouldn't even let you get in without a life jacket. Like, it's that serious or whatnot. It's one of those situations to where, you see the movies all the time where somebody deep dive in this damn cave and they make a wrong turn to get trapped in that bitch and it's a wrap.
Right.
So that's pretty much what type of swimming hole that is. Like, you go down there deep enough, nobody just diving there just for the fun of it, but you go down there deep enough, it can be some spots down there to where you get lost completely and it's a wrap, and it'll be frying chicken on that Saturday for this, that, and another. But nah, man, it was a real cool vibe. Did some jumping off the ledge. You got a little jumping and zip lining. Did some zip lining. Real cool experience, man. To say swim some 229 feet water, and also, brother, which was surprising to me. It was pretty warm. It wasn't cold. It was some spots like swimming through it you could feel, some cool depressions. But for the most part, though, man, it was some pretty warm water, and they protect it pretty well too. They make you take a shower before you get in, this, that, and up, because of the natural minerals that it has. So it's a pretty cool.
Wash your hands before you get in the water.
Definitely, and they make you rinse off before you get out too, due to those natural minerals that you could be carrying with you.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, everybody, smash that like button. Smash that. Does wonders for us in the algorithms. Comment, continue to beef in the comments. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Ace, what it do? Bro in the comments hanging out. Fragrance Journey, my guy. Appreciate all the love. Everybody, continue to beef in the comments. We appreciate that. Also, and follow us on everything. Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube, subscribe. We provide a lot of content for the big three, everything pertaining to Florida State, and Miami.
And also, all that stuff is the same too, bro. As far as you drive in certain places through the city, man. It's like just dirt poor, this, that, and another. Then voila, a big plot of land. They can clear it out, and here's a resort. That looks completely different from the regular city. But yeah, even in Mexico, man, they definitely bank on the U.S. dollar as far as tourism and things like that.
Yeah, they gotta quit kidnapping people. So people can keep coming on through.
Yeah, the cartel real down there, man.
I'm glad you made it back, bro.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
They ain't carrying a little weight down, no. CJ? Shit, man. Mess with that dude right there, man.
That's a no-fly zone.
Yeah, man. Can't pick him up. Too much trouble come with it.
They say you gotta make phone calls before you come for me.
Right.
And in that time, I'm gonna handle my business.
Already, let's hang out a little bit. We got D Legend, Florida State legend, wide receiver Greg Carr kicking it with us. Greg, how you doing, my dude?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm having a wonderful week, man. I don't know if you've been watching, man. With all season fireworks, I'm enjoying off season, Greg.
Oh yeah. I see some good things happening for y'all that way. So
Yeah,
hopefully they can translate to the season too. So you know how that goes.
we'll see. We'll see.
It's gonna get ugly for him, huh, man? We know how it's gonna go, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so, man. I think we got 7 or 8 in us, man. We'll talk about that later. I think we got 7 or 8. Keep it a bean with you. I know everybody got us for the losing season in 5 games, but we'll see about that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
You deep in Gator territory too in Ocala.
yeah. My whole
Walt Light,
my
Greg.
whole family Gators. My whole family Gators. I flip the script on everybody when I went to Florida State.
Well, yeah, we gotta have that conversation.
That's the only time my family was Florida State fans for the 4 years I was there. That was it.
We definitely appreciate that. But yeah, we'd like to kind of take it back from the beginning, man. You know, growing up in Ocala, Florida, how was it like for you coming up? And when did you realize that, you know, okay, I'm pretty athletic and this thing
Hold
can
on
take
one
me
second. 1 second, CJ. Do we sound staticky on the back end? I just want to make sure we don't sound staticky, bro. Somebody saying it sounds like static on the back end. Just making sure.
It's clear to me. I don't hear nothing weird.
Yeah, somebody saying, people saying the video staticky and it sounds staticky. I just want to make sure the content fire. Yeah, they saying this. Let me look at it on YouTube. Bear with us one moment. This is one of the kinks one of the hiccups with going live. Y'all let us know what the quality like on the back end on YouTube's end because we can't see that.
Yeah.
Appreciate your patience, Greg Carr.
Oh, no problem. You good.
Still staticky. I don't know what's going on, bro. I couldn't tell you.
I'm looking at it from the ease point of view on the phone. It looked pretty smooth over there. I'm not sure.
It looks smooth on.
Yeah, and I don't hear anything. Any issues. Oh. Say something, Larion.
Yo.
I guess everybody's probably correct. I don't know what's going on. That's softball right now at this point. Appreciate y'all patience, hanging out with us. That's not what it do. We're trying to make sure it's clear and crisp, man. Y'all in before we start this content.
So, sound funny to you, Nasty?
I sound funny?
Okay, now you good with me. You good.
It should sound pretty decent.
Yeah, it's straight.
Are we good? I want to make sure we good before we go, bro. I don't want no suspect. We appreciate y'all patience, but I don't want no suspect quality. Let me check this out myself real quick. Go ahead and get over. man. Make sure y'all pull up July 6th. Yeah, it was static as hell. Hey, take it to the waiting room real quick, Stacks. Hold on. Let me take it to the waiting room, bruh.
I think it's better now. I think you just had to reload. I think it was just you for some reason.
Yeah, that was early in the show. That wasn't it.
Mic check. Oh, it looks good. Looking at it. All right, well, let's get going. Y'all let me know if we sound static or whatever, but it looks good on my end from what I could see.
Yeah, they say we good now.
We
I
good?
think it was just once you had to refresh, I think we could go now.
Maybe this storm. I'm dealing with a storm a little bit. Big thunderstorms down here in South Florida. So sorry about that.
D-Rod just text said we good now.
All right, bro. Get it rolling, man. We appreciate y'all patience, man. Let's hang out. Let's pod a little bit, man. Roll up style.
All right, bet. Yeah, but let's take it back a little bit, Greg. Let's go back to your childhood, living in the 352 Ocala, Florida. You know, a lot of people was excited to hear from you and to get you on. And I was talking to my boy, you know, Sean Mackey.
Yeah.
I was talking.
Listen, I gotta tell you, you gotta say Reddick, Florida, not Ocala. It's a city and it's a country. I'm the country boy, so
And see, that's the thing too, because I know down there too in that area, it's a lot of different, like as far it's a big piece of land. First of all, man, like
right,
it's real huge, and it's a lot of small towns and back roads that's involved with it. So yeah, explain it to me a little bit. Where's Reddick located at?
Reddick is I'm probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes from Gainesville, and then you got Ocala area, which is more city towards when you're going towards Orlando that way, and Reddick is more towards Gainesville than Ocala. So it's the country. We consider it the city in the country. Like Ocala that's where all of the high school, Ocala Vanguard, and all of that at, and then North Marion, my high school, is out in the country. So they make it a big deal because it's our rival school as well. So they always be like, hey, man, I had to – actually, when I was at Florida State, I had to make them change that in the media guide because everybody seen it in the media guide and it had Ocala, Florida. They like, hey, man, no, you need to make sure they fix that. So I'm like, man, can y'all please fix this so everybody at home don't make a big deal about it? So I had to get it changed to Reddick, Florida, which that's where I grew up at. And it's just something that people take pride in. You know how I go, and you be like, oh, you ain't from here. Like you have to say distinctly where you from, stuff like that.
Nah, for sure though.
Exactly, man.
Gotta rep your city, man.
It's like people in the Quincy area versus Tallahassee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you know how that go, man. Yeah, let's take it back. How was it for you growing up in Reddick?
Oh, it was cool. Just a bunch of country town stuff. Grew up around cows, chickens, all of that stuff. Being out in watermelon fields and all that stuff with my granddaddy and my family, all that type of stuff. I'm a laid back country guy that just stays to myself, and that's kind of the way we grew up, playing down dirt roads, playing football, basketball, just running up and down the street,
And speaking of, like you said, Reddick, Florida is probably like you said, you guys are outside a lot and playing football and things like that. At what point of age did football become a sport that you feel like, okay, I can focus on a little bit and start taking it serious and playing within? I'm not sure. There's a Part 1 in Ocala or is it City League? Well, Reddick, excuse me.
A little thing called MCYFL. I played that, but honestly, I really didn't take football serious. What kind of got me into football was everybody knew me for basketball. So going into high school, my high school coach basketball coach was telling me that before basketball season, you either had to do some other sport. You wasn't just gonna sit around and wait till basketball season. So I'm like, man, I wasn't big on weightlifting or none of that type of stuff or anything like that. So I'm like, man, I go play football. And then football kind of took off from there, and that's what really got me into it. Was more of being hey, I was doing this to stay in shape for basketball, and next thing you know, it started to pay dividends for me.
None of your
What
siblings are
position you
in.
played in ball?
Go ahead.
I was actually point guard. I was the tallest person on my team, but I played point guard. So it was crazy because everybody that was my natural position, like point guard, and I played that all the way up to high school. And I really, like I say, I just got. I realized that the older I got, that 6'6" on the basketball court is average, and 6'6" on the football field is standing out. So I kind of really made that decision. Well, once I got to Florida State, we'll talk about that. But Coach Bowden kind of made that decision for me. So, but that basketball is my true love.
But playing basketball though, you was playing the right position though. For your size, a 6'6" point guard sounds about right. I guess in high school, that's when they say, "Nah, you gonna get in the post a little bit. You gotta use the height."
Yeah, you know how that go. They put you, you the
Especially in
tallest on the
Florida.
team. They want you to play center and all this other stuff. You know how that go.
You were
Right, especially in
facilitating at
Florida.
6'8" point guard. You were facilitating, or you was a scoring guard. Like what type of guard were you?
I was like I could score, but I like passing and all that stuff more than anything. I didn't like. I would score if my team needed to, but I was my favorite player growing up was like I was Gary Payton, that type of guy. Watching him play, and so I kind of it went from Gary Payton to Kevin Garnett, those type of guys. But I wasn't into scoring. I score if I have to, but I'm more like passing and all of that stuff.
Talk about that transition though. Like I said, you get to high school, your coach says, you're going to play two sports, and that second sport you chose is football. How was that transition like for you just get on that football field coming from basketball? Because that's two completely worlds, especially something you haven't really played, your entire life. How was that transition like for you? And what was that okay, I could do this moment for you? Like you said, that 6'6" on the basketball court is pretty average, but on the football field it's extraordinary.
It was smooth because I had always been doing it as a kid anyway, so I kind of was because the toughest part that I kind of dealt with from high school because I played quarterback. I wasn't a receiver or anything like that. I was more of a quarterback, and then I kind of got pushed into receiver once I got to high school. But I played quarterback my freshman and sophomore year of high school. Then once I got older in the varsity, I played receiver and corner. But the transition was smooth because it was my attitude fit better for football than it did basketball because I was a little hothead as my mama used to say, and I had to let out aggression, and football kind of work rather than basketball. Like sometimes you just want to, hey man, he talking too much. I just want to run you over and stuff like that. With basketball, once you got the football, it's like, hey, that's completely fine now. So if they want to talk, you know what to do. You can go out there and get a little contact in, and that was smooth for me because like I said, I used to use football to let out my aggression.
What was your recruiting like as a basketball recruit? Did it pick up the same as football? Do you have the same options?
Yeah, it was. I actually it was some schools that was going that was talking to me about playing both, but I kind of knew I was because I played AAU basketball with a team called Nike Team Florida, and see that you probably remember Jason Rich that
Mm-hmm.
played for Florida State. Me and
Mm-hmm.
Jason Rich played on the same AAU basketball team, so
Okay.
I was big in the AAU. That's part of the reason I never really took football too serious because I always was stuck on basketball. But at the same time, football started to pick up the pace, and football showed more promise. So I kind of stuck with it, and it was certain places that was more schools up north that was gonna give me a chance to kind of play both, like Boston College, Pittsburgh, stuff like that. But I wasn't trying to go that far, so I ended up saying, "Hey, I want to put my eggs in this football basket and kind of not just play basketball, kind of as a pickup, kind of hobby thing."
Yeah, so we fast forward, man. Once you start playing receiver full time, man, like I say, two-time All-State. The offer started coming in. He was a 4-star receiver, this, that, another. When did the recruiting process really start picking up for you? When these coaches start coming out to the practices and noticing, things you can do on the football field?
It was probably my junior year of high school. We actually came up to Tallahassee and played Tallahassee Godby at the time.
Okay, that's
And
my school.
there was a couple of guy coaches there, and I did pretty good that game, and it kind of picked up momentum from there. And like I tell people, you know how it go. If Florida State started paying attention to you, then Miami and Florida want to know why, and so they kind of pay attention to you too. And then that's when things started to pick up a little bit for me, and it kind of got the ball rolling from there.
Were you just like, I know you say your family was, so were you a Gator fan like growing up?
No, I was honestly, I was a Michigan fan. My favorite football player was Charles Woodson. So
Okay.
I was a big Michigan fan, and that was my dream school, but I never really got no interest from them. So I was never really I didn't dislike any of the Florida schools. I was a big Charles Woodson and Michigan fan.
Man, I used to be when I was young. I used to be my little secondary school. I used to like Michigan too.
Yeah, I was Charles Woodson.
You always lying on me. Stop lying.
He got a lot of schools.
No, I didn't.
We went to the
I didn't.
Look crazy as hell.
I got every Charles Woodson jersey that ever came out. I had every one of them.
And when that Oakland one dropped, though, man, they had the hood on lock, man. That black and white had the hood on lock, man. That 21,
like
24.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking about your recruitment, man, it started to pick up when you went to Tallahassee and played in that game. So what was it like for you just going through that process? What were some of the schools that stood out to you?
It was the process for me was pretty like cut and dry, plain and simple. Because I really, it was my final two schools came down to either Florida State or Georgia, and at the time that's when coach from Georgia he was at Georgia named Coach Eason, and I think he at Clemson now. But he was recruiting me and knew about me, but I had interest. Like I wasn't into all that attention and all that type of stuff. So I kind of like told Florida you was too close. I told Miami y'all too far and too much of a big city for me, and I just left it at that. And then Tallahassee kind of fit right in that mold. And I had stayed in Georgia for a little bit before, so I was kind of familiar with the Georgia area, and I was fine with going there. But it ended up being Tallahassee. But I wasn't into all of that recruiting stuff. I just wanted to go play football. I didn't go on no visits or none of that.
Come on, Greg. We trying to get the moon stories and stuff, man. You ain't
See, I ain't go on no visits. I ain't want to do none of that. I actually, my senior year at our football banquet, Coach Jeff Bowden was there, and I committed right there at my football banquet, and left it at that. I wasn't. My mom was like, "You need to go see these schools." I'm like, I don't want to do all that. Like,
You mean you go see the schools? Nothing, huh? You just picked the school, huh?
Yeah, I just picked the school, and I was like, and I really kind of picked it because I was at the time, my senior year. We had played Daytona Beach Seabreeze, which that's where Xavier
Lee
played at. And so I was kind of cool with him, and me and another guy that came in with me named Kenny O'Neal, he played receiver as well.
Ooh, Blazer. Yeah, man. Kenny was fast.
Me and him knew each other from Georgia when he stayed in Georgia. And then a couple of the guys, I played against Kenny Ingram, AAU basketball, so I was kind of familiar with those guys and knew. And at that time, Xavier Lee was the hottest thing on the market. So I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to go play with him. When he made it clear he was going to Florida State, I'm like, hey man, I'm going there too.
Elaborate on that a little bit more, because I don't think like the average fan realized how big Xavier Lee was, man. Mr. Football and a couple sports, but he was, bro, like a can't miss recruit, the #1 player in the country. Like he was big time, bro.
Yeah, he was, because like I say, we played them my senior year, and my family came to the game, and they kind of got there late, and I had been hearing about them and seeing and knew little things because you know what, as you growing up and you look at your recruiting class, you kind of pay attention to who's who and what they doing. So we ended up playing them, and I'm like, man, I want to see what this all this talk about. So I seen him throw. We played him, and I seen him throw one bomb. It was about 50, 60 yards, but he threw it so easy. And it just so happened that my family was coming into the game at the time, and they was like, "Yeah, we seen that punt." And I'm like, man, and then they said, "Hey, such and such on the catch." I'm like, "Catch?" Say, yeah, that wasn't no punt. That was a pass. Oh my gosh, like, but that he was so big and already ahead of his time, like as a freak of nature at quarterback. And I'm like, man, I want to go play with this guy because he just threw the ball so easy and could launch it. And I'm like, man, at being a big receiver, you want to go play with that type of quarterback.
So I got a Xavier Lee story as well. Like I played at Bethune-Cookman. His dad played at Bethune-Cookman as well. He's alumni of Bethune-Cookman. Dad is huge, big dude. Came and talked to us one time. Hands size of mittens. Like it's really like genetics with him. His dad feel like 5 oranges in his hand with no problem. Like his hands that big, and just to see what type of how he was physically at that point in his age, it's easy to see, exactly where Zay Lee gets his genetics from. His dad was one of the all-time players at Bethune-Cookman as well.
Man, I watched him one day. He was on one knee, threw it about 60 yards with ease. I'm like, man, hey, this man.
Oh, you
Hey, start that over, bro.
It started off. You was breaking up a little bit, and you had zeroed out for a second.
Oh, I seen one day he was on one knee and threw a ball probably about 50, 60 yards with ease. That's why it was funny playing with him because I'm like, hey man, listen, the way you throw these slants, I know you got power and all this and that, man, but hey, you can let up a little bit. And he's like, I see what I can do. I'm like, nah, man, because we used to joke because when we at state, when we played on the back end and we had to go to Maryland, Boston College and all of that stuff towards the later on in the year when it was cold, I'm like, hey man, hey, you gonna mess your passer rating up throwing them bullets out there. It's cold, man. But he used to joke. He like, man, I'm barely throwing it. I'm like, man, I had to see what it's like when
you rip it,
really put some power into it then, because he had a cannon, man.
So
just real quick, hold on, see before you go. Real quick, so you didn't go on any visits, right? Which is, I think you're the first person we had that didn't go on any. What was kind of the turn off about that process for you?
Man, I just like me. Well, for one, I was doing AAU basketball, but for two, I just wasn't. I didn't want to do all that traveling. I got tired of it doing it so much for AAU. I'm like, man, listen, I just need to know where y'all gonna play me at. Y'all gonna give me a chance to play. I don't need all of that.
Strictly business.
Like, yeah, I just need to know what's what. Hey,
he got game had just
have
came
to sit 2-3 years up. So I'm like, man, I don't need to go on no visits. Like, I just need to know. Y'all tell me, keep it plain and simple, keep it honest, let me know. And people like, oh, you the first person that kind of really. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do no visits. I don't need to do no visits. Just tell me, tell me what we gonna do and what you gonna do with me when I get there, and the rest will work out itself.
That's what's up. That's a real mature mindset at that age, man. Because like I always, when it comes to the visits, I'm like, you got to work hard to have a bad visit, damn near. Like, you kids going, it's like, oh, it was great. Of course it was great. They roll out the best food, the best company. They're gonna do. It's gonna be the best of what you. Now that ain't gonna be your day-to-day life out there.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't want to get my mind built with. Hey, I heard and people told me stories about how they had the best visit of their life. Then in the first month of getting there, they like, man, this ain't nothing like I thought it was. Man. So I'm like, man, nah, y'all ain't gonna roll out the red carpet for me and have me thinking this how things gonna be. I need to know straight up and honest, hey, who else y'all bringing in, what else going on, and don't try to influence me that way. Just tell me the truth and let me make my own decision. So my mom was like, well, if you don't want to go, you ain't gotta go. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to do no visits.
Greg, you speak about pretty much your whole family being Gators. Did Bobby do his in-home visit with you?
Yeah. He
So
came.
let's talk about that, and coming down into the city and like I said, neighborhood full of Gators, and just how was that situation? A lot of people talk about the in-home visit with Bobby Bowden and how he's able to swoon the parents and things like that.
It was amazing. It kind of like that was the day that my house was the hangout spot. Everybody, I'm like, man, listen, coach coming, and some people just coming to see if he telling the truth, if I'm lying. Like I'm like, nah, man.
Nah,
Coach
he ain't
coming.
coming, man. He ain't about to pull up.
They like, man, ain't no Bobby Bond coming to your house, man. I'm like, listen, yes he is. So I told my mama he came, man. Before he could even get in the door, he had to walk through a bunch of people standing outside wanting to get autograph. I'm like, man, my bad, coach. This because around here it wasn't that wasn't something normal like compared to other big cities where you get that type of, hey, okay, he might have been here. This his first time really coming to an in-home visit in my city, so it was big. They like, man, nah. Even people, like I say, even people that didn't like Florida State want to show up and say, hey, man, I got to get his autograph. I'm like, man, you a Gator fan. What you mean? Nah, man, I ain't gonna pass up this opportunity. So that kind of went how it went at first, and then when he actually got in the house, he took pictures with my family, respectable with my mom, and my mom really enjoyed him, and she was like, if that's where you want to go, I like him. I'm like, Mom, this the only coach you done met. But yeah, it was a good time, man, and once that kind of solidified it for me that, hey, man, this I'm pretty much sure this is where I'm going.
So you heading to Florida State, and you talked about your basketball game. Who are you modeling your wide receiver game after? Who you look up to at that point?
Well, at that point, my favorite receiver, which is still my favorite Florida State receiver, is Anquan Bolden. So
Let's go.
that was my big how I kind of Anquan Bolden, and at that time I used to like Steve Smith, which I wasn't. I know I wasn't Steve Smith size, but I just used to like how Steve Smith and Anquan Bolden played, and so I kind of like wanted to emulate my game after that to say, hey, I like how they physical, but at the receiver, because that was at that time people felt like, which they still feel like it now, is receiver is the cute position, to where guys ain't really want to be physical and want to be that blocking guy, that physical, that be able, ain't scared to go across the middle and take that hit and still come out with the catch. So that was the type of receiver I wanted to model my game after.
Yeah, Steve Smith always been one of them guys, man. I love Steve, little dude out there, ain't take shit from nobody.
Nobody, and I love that.
Yeah, played big in what his size was, man.
Yes, sir.
Physical guy, understood the game, understood the leverage, and just was a dog. Simply put, straight G. Sure. So you get to FSU, and it's always that, welcome to college, this, that, and another. The competition is a lot different. In high school, you're the top dog, the All-American, this, that, and another. You get to FSU, it's All-Americans everywhere. How was that adjustment like for you going from going from high school to college?
Well, the thing about me, it was, which I mean, I'm pretty sure people know now. I gray shirted, so when I first got there, I wasn't even in school. I was here in Tallahassee, and at the time I was working a job, which I had. They found me a job, which I was doing. I was doing construction, and I quit before lunch because that job, that first job they had me on, hey, I felt like I was the only one doing work. I'm like, man, listen, I can't. So I at that time, which my coach that recruited me was Jody Allen. So I called Coach Allen. Well, Coach Allen actually called me. He said, "Hey, Greg, where you at?" I said, "I'm home. I'm in my apartment." He said, "Yeah, they say you didn't come back after lunch." I said, "Yeah, I ain't going back." I said, "Coach, y'all got to find me something else. I can't. This job here, like I felt like I was doing too much, and I'm just getting, hey, go get this, go get that, picking up cement and all this type of stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't do this." So at that point, he like, "All right, we got to find you something else." I'm like, "Yeah, Coach, because if this one, I just go back home." He's like, "Nah, we don't want you to go back home. We'll find you something else." So that's when I ended up doing the grounds crew at Florida State at the time, and ended up getting a job doing that. And I was part of the crew that helped paint the fields, helped clean up the stadium after the games, and that was like a humbling experience, but that was the most appreciative experience I had because it made me understand and appreciate going out there to be on that field and knowing how much of a privilege it was. Because at that time, nobody really know me. I'm in the stadium after the game, blowing out peanut hurls, cleaning up the stadium, and all of that type of stuff, painting the practice fields. And I'm like, man, this was an album because it showed you what football could be like if you don't have it. And at that time, I kind of understood and appreciated being able to paint the fields before the games and all that. So I'm like, man, when I get out here, it's gonna be a wrap because I don't want to do this. So it really motivated me. And once I was able to get done with that and start in school, I enjoyed it.
So you go through that, man, and then, like you said, it was a humbling experience. And that first year, you get 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. You come on the scene out of nowhere. You know, everyone's pretty much talking about you, freshman, All-American, this, that, another. Um, does that extra motivation that you had, you know, going through the situation, the gray shirt, and now you finally on the field, um, did that carry over into that freshman year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because what's really motivated me, because back to what you were saying about my welcome to college moment, the crazy thing is that people ain't realized was the first thing I did when I got to Florida State and was able to enroll in school is I went straight to basketball. I didn't even. I started out with the basketball team first. I was going from going from basketball to spring practice and all that stuff with football. So it was a kind of that was my most like time where I'm like, okay, yeah, this college stuff real, because in the middle of like, hey, we would have coach talk to me about it. Coach Brown was like, hey, you know your basketball stuff, right? I'm like, yes, sir. He said, that don't exempt you from spring football and all that stuff. So I'm looking like, okay. So I'm like, so I got to go to both. So he like, yeah. So I would go from spring practice and basketball would be later on. I would go right to basketball practice and had to do this. So that was an experience that really prepared me and made me understood that this is real deal football and real deal conditioning. Because once my freshman year started, I'm like, man, I done been through everything else. This I'm just happy to be playing football now after everything else.
How was it physically for you though? I know you're young, we got a lot of energy, and we play several sports. You know, it's different when you're that type of age. But how was it? The strain of the workload with school, two sports. What was that like?
It was it was it was it wasn't too bad for me because like I said, I was good because I didn't I understood, and that's what I spent most of my time doing anyway. So I was cool with, okay, get up and go to practice, da da da. This I wasn't. It was hard at times because you like, man, hey boy, this some of them days where you be like, man, I just want to stay in the bed. You couldn't because hey, oh, this might have been going on with basketball, and they didn't give you no passes on either end, whether it was Coach Hamilton or Coach Bowden. Hey, you supposed to be here, you gonna be here. Hey, ain't no missing no conditioning because you was at football practice. Hey, if they run these suicides, you run these suicides with them. And so it really prepared me and made me that I understood, hey, I was the only one doing it on campus. So I'm like, hey, I know I'm mentally strong and physically in a better shape than a lot of other people because, man, that stuff was rough.
Did they ever tap you in with Charlie Ward since he did both?
No, I never actually got a chance to talk to him about it. I wish I did though, because it was like, man, I got there and I'm realizing, hey, this is strenuous, man, and you still have to be accountable for your school and all of that stuff. So I wish I would have got that talk so he could have told me ahead of time. But I'm glad my freshman year went the way it did, because once I started doing good in football, Coach Bowden said, hey, that basketball over with. Because I don't think nobody expected me to have the type of freshman year I did. And once I did, it shut basketball for me down real quick.
How'd you rise up the depth chart so fast and start getting playing time? Like, what was the practice like when you get on the field? Obviously, you gotta be passing guys.
I was just me, really. I was one of them guys that, hey, I wanted to make sure I always knew what I was doing, and if an opportunity ever presented itself, I was gonna make the best of it. And what ended up happening, we had our spring game, and towards the end of the spring, it was a little scripted stuff, and we was down there in the red zone, and Coach Bowden and all of them called me out, and that's when I went up against they called Cromartie out. So I ended up doing a little fade and catching it on Cromartie, and I still love it.
That'll do it, won't it?
He should have beat me up, but I was a little freshman, and after I caught it, I handed him the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, they was like, "Hey, okay, you not backing down from nobody." And I'm like, "Nah." And I told Crow afterwards, I'm like, "Man, I appreciate you like that." He's like, "Yeah." They're like, I was supposed to whoop you, little freshman." I'm like, "Yeah." But I'm like, "Hey, man, I was in the moment. Like, I had just caught that, so you couldn't tell me nothing. I would have took that fight."
Yeah, that's a dope story, though, man. That's a dope story.
How did you feel like how long did basketball last, number one?
Basketball lasted for a little while. Like it was all the way, because I kind of toned back once they started going into March and all of that stuff with all of the tournament stuff, and I kind of stuck to football from there. But basketball was that big year when I think North Carolina had that loaded team with Raymond Felton and all of them, and I actually got to see them in person. But basketball kind of started to scale back because I knew I wasn't going to really play. So I kind of was like, hey, man, I got to get ready for football because I know football season was coming up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious how the fit felt on that hardwood versus, going out there on the field.
Man, it's the hardwood and college basketball and all them floors are so soft that you don't. I get it. People have knee problems because they jump a lot, but man, it's like jumping on a pillow on some of them floors. Like especially I know at Florida State, that floor wasn't. It was nice, gentle floor. I'm like, man, this here like this. I wish I could play on this all the time.
It like that concrete out there in the park.
Nah, it ain't like them high school floors where you be like, man, that floor, man, was so nice and so nice, like smooth. I'm like, man, I can land on this all day. I'd rather go do this, but I'm like, that's when I was like, yeah, college basketball. This I see why they jump so high, because you like, man, this floor here, it's easy to jump off.
No doubt.
You spoke about the battles with Crow. Give me some others, man. Who were some of the tougher guys you went against during your time at FSU from a defensive standpoint?
I learned a lot from BMAC. My going into that because he used to come back. It was and then that Crow had got hurt, but mainly my matchups used to be. It was always me and TC, Tony Carter, and me and Pat Robertson. Mm-hmm. We always went at it and went back and forth a lot, and we used to go at it like it. And those were the guys that, and I appreciated it because I had to use two different type of games with each one of them, because with TC I was bigger, but he was a lot quicker and faster, so I had to use the more physical game for him, but Pat was a bigger corner that you had to be you had to use a little more different, like agility wise and route running wise, because he was fine with you being physical because he could take that, but you had to be able to position your body and get out of your breaks a lot better. So it helped me grow as a receiver all around because those are two different type of guys and two different body types that I had to adjust for.
DB's
Yeah.
got big mouths, man. Who's the biggest talker out of the bunch?
Biggest talker out of the always Crow always was talking trash, but like Pat and TC was always quiet. Y'all know J.R. Bryant. He
Yeah.
was from down that way. Yeah, J.R. was a big trash talker. J.R. was always talking. That I love J.R. but he stayed talking trash.
JR is a big corner as well.
Yeah, him, Trouble Ford, and all them guys. It's those guys. You know, they come from down south, man. When they gonna talk trash.
Man, going to your sophomore year, man, you had 34 catches for 12 touchdowns, man. So you build off of that great freshman year. So within the first 2 years, man, you're pretty much in the all-time ranks as far as touchdown catches with 21 touchdown catches within your first 2 years. Just talk about that, and just talk about that, and then later down the line, your touchdowns kind of dropped off and things like that. I know people talk about the different situations with quarterbacks and stuff like that. How was it just kind of going from Drew Weatherford, going through with the Xavier Lee, just the whole turmoil that was going through that point in time with the quarterback situation? Did that affect anything in regards to the receiver room and things like that?
Not for me. I didn't care who threw me the ball. I just tell them, hey, give me a chance, put it in my area. I figure out the rest. I knew that the whole everybody's okay. Because I kind of understood it because I kind of went through it myself because at that time, Fred Ross was there too, so he was a big recruit. So me and Drew was kind of in the same similar situation where, okay, hey, we know how this recruiting thing going, big name recruits, and we had to kind of work and get it through the mud because at the same time you're dealing with a number one. Fred was the top receiver, Xavier Lee was the top quarterback. You having to deal with that type of situation, so it kind of made you motivated because you knew, hey, I don't got the same room for error because I am coming in as a known recruit, but my name definitely wasn't as big. So you go in there working, and I was motivated to, hey, I always took it as I don't know how many passes I'm gonna get, so I'm gonna make sure I catch everything, or I'm gonna break my neck trying to get it because if I get 3 catches, then and I only get to throwing the ball 3 times, I ain't letting none of these hit the ground.
That's
Greg,
real.
how you choose your number? Like, what's your number choosing? I know freshmen usually get last dibs. How did you choose your number?
Man, I didn't. I didn't get to choose nothing. I didn't get to choose nothing till my senior year. I that's what motivated me too, cause I come in and I'm like, hey man, I see Fred get number one. I think TC and all them guys got TC got 15.
Mm-hmm.
All of the big name guys getting in. I go to my locker, I'm like 89. Like I'm like, hey, I'm like. I'm like, man, hey, who picked y'all number? They're like, oh yeah, they kind of asked. So I'm like, okay, 89. So that motivated me off the rip. I'm like, yeah, okay, they don't think I'm gonna do too much. So I'm like, man, I'm finna turn this 89 into something. So I got 89, and it kind of like took off from there because it motivated me. Because I'm like, man, they could have gave me a better number than this. I'd have took 80 straight 80 or something like that. But 89, I'm like, man, this is a tight end number. I'm like, nah, I gotta go make this shake. So once I got my number and realized, hey, this just what it is, at that point it motivated me.
No doubt.
Greg, what do you think the struggles? Just going back, we talked about Xavier Lee, all the on talent he had, and things like that. What do you think that his issue was at Florida State in regards to not really panning out to the potential that everyone thought that he would be? Built as being the number one quarterback coming out of high school and things like that.
It's I think, which I don't know. It's just from the outside looking in as far as him, but man, it was just that coming in that with your name so big like that. it kind of weighs on you. Like you gotta live up to a certain expectation that it's like, hey man, if you no, we don't need you to be throwing for 200 yards. You need to be Xavier Lee throwing for 300-400 yards, type of that. So I felt like everything was like he kind of had to deal with a lot because it was such high expectations, being the way he had put up numbers in high school, that you like, man, this it's better. Like I tell people, it's better to come in under the radar and not have to be dealing with all that stress of, hey, but you got to be doing this. You got to be like, nah. I think it kind of got too much for him because it's like, hey, no matter what, hey man, you should be playing. And then Drew started playing, and it kind of bothers you because here you are, a top recruit, and people are saying, hey, he's not planning out this and planning out that, and you deal with that, and I think that's a mental hold that can hold on you because you hear it all the time.
What's that like, man? Like just the pressure from cities like Gainesville, Tallahassee, Miami, when you letting fans down, and fans' expectations become weight on you. Like what's that like?
Uh, I think it's for me. I felt like it's more. I put more pressure on myself because I knew that, hey, it was stuck in my mind, and what made me work so hard and what made me stay locked in was I knew I was the first one from my city, so I didn't want anybody to think, hey, Reddick, Florida, Marion County is sending out duds. So my thing was like, hey, if I'm gonna be the one to speak for us and be representation of us, I'm gonna make sure I leave a lasting impression to make other people want to come back and get more kids from here. I feel like when you from the big cities, it's hey, you're probably number 15 that they done probably that you done seen from your city when you talk about those Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Miami, all of that stuff. You get so much of that you realize that, hey, these guys kind of come within you more living up to the last guy expectations than anything else, because it's like you look at it, and I come into the room, and you got guys from Jacksonville, you got guys from Tallahassee, Miami, and it's 3, 4, 5 of them, and they like, man, where you from? I'm like, Reddick, Florida. They like, where that's at? Like, and so I knew, I'm like, hey, I put more pressure on myself because I'm like, man, if I go out here and I look bad, people gonna say, hey man, I don't want to come get nothing else from there. So I took pride in myself to say, hey, I'm gonna be a one to represent and let them know, hey, this is somewhere that they got some good football players, and that I kind of took pride on that from the moment I got there.
So after an L in Tallahassee, the vibes that Sunday morning, you go to Dunkin' and just get you some coffee and everything be smooth.
Yeah, I really didn't go nowhere. I probably went out.
Peep that.
I probably went out 4,
Not
5
even
times
Dunkin'?
my whole. No, I ain't go nowhere. I used to
You go to
stay.
FAMU, you
I
go
used
by
to the
there,
most I used to
take
go
things
is
out.
McDonald's. I go. I wasn't big on hanging out or none of that. I probably went out, like I say, I probably went out 5 times my whole time in
Well, you
Tallahassee,
definitely one of the
and
real
that
ones,
was more
bro.
because of like birthdays, something like that. But I didn't like none of that life. Like because it got so, once I started doing good, it started to get so much, because like I wouldn't, if you didn't know who I was, I wasn't gonna tell you, hey, I'm Greg Carr, da 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 this, da da. You had to know, and if you came up to me like, hey, I would tell you yes, but then I would like, man, hey, I'm ready to go. Like I didn't like all that extra attention. Like I just wanted to go out there and do what I do. I come up, like if you wanted an autograph and all that stuff, I would gladly sign anything and do all of that. But as far as being out and, hey, going to the club saying, "Oh, we got Greg." Nah, I wasn't on that.
So you gonna catch you in,
You a
they gonna
different
put you on the
cut.
club flyer, huh?
I'd have been there. I'd have been
Nah,
that bit acting a
yeah,
donkey.
they weren't gonna catch me. Like when even like my family knew, most I would do, hey, I come pull up and say, hey, this my family, and I get y'all in there, and I'm gonna go. I'm like, hey man, I'm finna go as soon as y'all get in here, man. Y'all just call me back if y'all need me. But yeah, you can use my name. You can use my name that way, but I wasn't staying in no club or hanging out, none of that stuff.
I
Man.
like it.
No, that's real. I agree. Let's couple more questions. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon, man. But give me, so Jimbo Fisher becomes your offensive coordinator, right? What was the difference going from Jeff Bowden to Jimbo Fisher, that young Jimbo Fisher, the hungry Jimbo Fisher coming over to be the offensive coordinator and head coach at Wayne?
It was, to me, it's tough because it was. I feel like the coach of Wayne thing is what kind of
Blew things up
in all of our plans at
How so?
Florida State. Because I felt like it's a catch-22 at the end of the day, because if I'm coaching Wayne, but then I'm putting out a high-power offense that's gonna keep the coach that's there winning, like how do you
So you think it was a sabotage job that went on that with Jimbo, huh?
Listen, I'm not putting that on that man's name. I'm not saying that, but like I really I didn't understand it, because I'm like, man, listen, because like I tell people, you had me, the Cody Fag, Preston, Parker, Burt Reed, all us guys, and then like I say, after we leave, the offense all of a sudden looks like a well-oiled machine, because it's like, hey, now that this group is gone, this is under his name, like, because I felt like we had times where we could have probably had put up bigger numbers and so on and so forth, but everybody felt like that, but I just felt like that Coach and Wayne thing was kind of like it kind of like made you have to draw the line in the sand and say, hey, because hey, in my team Jimbo team, Coach Bond, like it kind of left a wrench in there, because you didn't, and he came in wanting to kind of like establish his own guys, not trying to like piggyback off of what was already there. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. How was that like with the coaching staff, though? I mean, was there any real within the coaching staff, feeling like, I've been here with Bound for this many years, Jimbo. I don't even think it was thinking back. It may have been a couple new guys that came along with Jimbo, but how was that like within the coaching staff? 'Cause I know that could be some friction as well.
I felt like it was all right, because it kind of like the guys that was there. I felt like you kind of have to go about it certain ways, because not only is Jimbo like a coach that's a colleague and a coworker, but he's also the next in line to be your boss pretty much. So it kind of leaves you with, hey, okay, yeah, you kind of go about it the right way and kind of deal with it, because you know that, hey, okay, I know Coach Bowden only has a certain amount of years left, and I'm trying to continue to be here, because at the same time, I know that the next guy up is already who he is. So it kind of left that kind of right there to say, hey, I'm going to do all I can to make sure that everything is good on both ends, because of course we knew coaches like Coach Odell and all that. He was always going to be there. He was a 10-year guy that loved Florida State and was through and through. So, but you say, Coach Dawsey came in with Coach Fisher and a couple other coaches came in as well.
Yep. Gotcha. Give me your most memorable game playing at FSU, whether it was at Doak on the road. What game sticks out in your mind? What moment sticks out in your mind?
2006 against Troy, because, which people probably don't know, 2006 was.
We almost lost that game, didn't we?
No, we won, but I hated football 2006. Like I really hated football. I was mad at football that whole year, which ended up having to be my best year. But I was mad at football. But that game against Troy was so memorable, because my older brother played for Troy, and we had all our family came in. They had shirts made with half Troy, half Florida State, and all of that stuff. And it just so happened that my brother scored a touchdown, and I came back and scored a touchdown our next series, and we ended up winning the game. So that was probably the most memorable game for me, because at the 2006, like I say, I had so much hatred towards football that kind of refreshed me and like opened.
How so though? What was the hatred? What was the hatred? What was fueling the hatred?
Because like, okay, like I tell people, when you play sports, everybody says the mantra is God, family, football. At that time, my little sister, when she was 5 at the time, she used to call me every day, like while we was in camp, brother, come home, and I told her I couldn't. So I'm like, man, we can't come home right now. We busy. We got this going on. We got mandatory. We got to be here. And my little sister ended up dying in a house fire. And that made me like really kind of hate football because I'm like, here I am dedicating my life to football when I didn't know that it was going to happen, but it made me like really be mad at football because I'm like, here I am every day committing to football, and now my little sister passed, and that kind of like built up a whole like, which it fueled me because I took it out on everybody we played, but it was like that was a rough time for me.
Man, that's heavy.
Yeah, man. Sorry to hear that for sure, man. Definitely.
Sure. What's that like in general? Like the family come back home. 'Cause I know guys that got those calls back at home and went home.
It was. I went back home and it was kind of rough, but it kind of like I say it fueled me to say, hey, I ain't gonna quit. I ain't no give up type of person, but man, it was like, man, hey, I had a whole different motive behind the whole season at that point. Like I told myself I was gonna do some amazing stuff, and it just so happened that that season, like you say, I finished with 12 touchdowns, which is my best season, and it just motivated me so much because you like, man, this puts things in perspective on how fast this football thing can make you love it and hate it at the same time.
Who you hate more, Florida State? I'm sorry, Florida or Miami?
Florida State eligible as well.
What's crazy is during the time that we was playing, I hated Florida more and I had more love for Miami guys. But now that I'm done playing, actually a lot of my best friends, or good friends, should I say, not necessarily best, but a lot of my good friends are Florida guys. Like
good people, man.
From like Dallas Baker to I'm pretty cool with Cornelius Ingram, a couple of guys that Chris Rainey, me and Chris Rainey done got real cool. Like it was I used to hate Florida because it
wasn't good at that point in time too, man.
Yeah.
Like Florida always felt like they was better than us. Like they like it's like Miami is like, okay, that gritty backyard fight that hey we come up the same way y'all come up, but it always felt like Florida just was like tooting their nose up at us, and that's why I hated Florida so much.
You had it right.
Right.
All right, Greg. So you also have some processes too, man, in the CFL and Arena Football League. So talk about that, just playing on those levels and making a pretty good career out of it as well.
Yeah, the CFL, man, I didn't realize how big football was over there till I actually got over there, and it was amazing. Only thing that weather is different. Yeah, that's coming from Florida. Yeah, that weather is different. Like we played in a game where that was the CFL was the first game in my life where I played in a game and I told the quarterback, "Don't throw me the ball." Like I told him, because it was probably like we played the game. It was probably like negative 20 something, close to. Like, and I'm like, hey, listen, if you throw this ball out here, I'm telling you, you better hope they don't pick it, because I'm not, man. I told the coach, hey man, let me block, like, because when I first got there, that weather was something different, but the football was like seeing how much they got love for the game over there. It was amazing to see, and something that I didn't really have knowledge of until I got there. But Man, Canada was nice, and then arena, which I tell people that was the most fun I ever had playing football was arena football. Like just being able to play that game and the excitement level to it, that was the most I ever had like fun because it was you had the interaction with the fans, but that pace of the game, like I tell people, it's football at a basketball pace, and you get to see it, and I had to be in far more shape to play arena ball than I think any other ball.
Interesting. All right, man. So you're currently the head coach at North Marion High School in Ocala, Florida. Let's talk about that and just pouring back into the kids and pretty much being what you said you want to be to your community. Coming from your small town and being that guy. The first. To be on that big stage.
Yeah, man. This is high school football is probably this might be one of the hardest coaches in America. It's realizing it now, but I love it because this motivates me. But man, high school football and coaching is a totally different ball game. Like now, especially with these generation kids and how y'all know how this recruiting stuff goes and all of that. Like I tell people, this is the high school football coach can be a great coach and a bad coach all in the same breath because I can go in 10 state championships, but if I is the college coach and people like it's a catch-22 with this high school.
Give him a second to get back in.
Subscribe, like, tell a friend while we're waiting real quick. Look like we lost Greg for a second there. Hopefully we get him back in just a second.
Yeah, hit that like button, subscribe. We apologize for any static. I don't know what that is. It could be the weather on my end. I'm not sure. But
hope his phone ain't died.
Might have. So we'll get him back.
Hold on. Here you go.
Coming back now? Okay.
One time for the great folks at State Farm, AlanHorneInsurance.com. Give my guy a call at 706-692-2988 or visit AlanHorneInsurance.com. If you're in the states of Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama, need home, auto, life, insurance, or any other financial services, hit my man Alan up, AlanHorneInsurance.com or 706-692-2888. Pound that like button like my man Larion said. Subscribe. We'll appreciate it. Our man Greg was giving us some gems, man. Got a little heavy at the end there, but some great information, bro.
Yeah, he'll be back on pretty quick. Laptop at that. He's getting started back up.
Already.
Yeah, then we'll go ahead and close out with him and get it going.
For sure. While we waiting here, the dead period is amongst us. If y'all don't know what the dead period is in recruiting, it's not really a dead period like people think it is. You still can communicate, but like the visits in person, coaches can't visit the kids in person. The kids can't visit the schools. So that's the dead as it get. They can still communicate via phones and whatnot. So recruiting is still happening, but we're in a physical dead period for a little bit here. Y'all like where y'all at before the dead period? How you feeling, Larry? Are you ready to double down?
No, man. You got to win your original money back first. I ain't going crazy. Y'all ahead right now.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, hell no, we already double. Each bet we did was $100, so we had 200 on one.
I'm okay. I'm not happy or anything. I'm okay. I think it could be a lot better in certain positions. I do know July is coming. There's a lot of commitment days coming up, but I'm okay. I'm not. It's a couple surprises that I feel like we should have been a lot better at, for sure. But I'm okay.
We'll provide you a safe place to talk about it in a little bit once we get.
Oh no, we good, baby. It's gonna be. We got a lot of them on deck coming up. It's been some whips for sure, but there's gonna be a lot of fireworks coming pretty soon from a big weekend. Yeah, so we get Greg on and wrap him up. We can definitely talk about it.
Like, subscribe, beef in the comments. We appreciate everything. All the likes, all the subscribes, man. Florida State, Miami. We cover it all right here at the Rollup Network. Greg is getting his Jack Jackson on right now, but we're gonna figure this technology out.
Don't do my homie Jack like that, bro. Like an old head.
Yeah, Jack was struggling with it, boy.
What? Technology, man. Technology be whooping my ass. I'm 42. And I throw 20 years on it. Well, look at him. Well, why he coming together, man? Let's see. BRB.
BRB. Got a lot of shutdown graphics and whatnot this week, man. I ain't mad at it. You know, I know Miami and the boys are getting a little hyped about Darius Hayes. He went down there for a visit, but I wouldn't, never freighting about that, man. I like where we stand in his recruiting. But yeah, we had a lot of those graphics fly out. We didn't have any official visits this week either. We did ours
Camp
early in
weekend.
June. Everything was Friday night lights, man. A lot of 2025 kids. Some of our commits from the 2024 class pulled up to kick it, but camps, a lot of good vibes. A lot of the 2025 kids out there competing. We was able to get a couple of our defensive tackle that's committed to this class to get out there and run around a little bit. I'll talk about that when I get in my Gator talk. But yeah,
You say
man,
he should be good. I don't know if we got to bring him in or.
it should just pop right back in. He was on the screen there. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. Did you guys have camp this weekend, or was it just all official visits?
Mostly official visits. We did have a camp today. It was a Thorn. I'm not sure it was a Thorn camp. It was a lot of quarterbacks on campus. I'm not exactly sure if it was a Thorn camp or not. But I know we had a 26 quarterback on campus as well. But the main focus was the official visit weekend. But it was a light camp. 2 weeks ago is where we had our heavy camp. Our heavy camp week, pretty much similar to what you guys got going on this weekend.
Already. We'll get Larion back in a minute.
Yeah, I don't want to
We'll
jump
wrap this
into now.
conversation up
Really.
with Greg.
Yeah, I want to jump now into nothing really until we do that. All right, there you go. Gotcha.
Okay.
No, it's all love, man. We want to wrap up this conversation.
But yeah, we had left where you had started breaking up a little bit and start. I guess the connection started disappearing. We was talking about coaching and as far as a high school coach now with the current landscape of high school recruiting and football.
Yeah, because it's like I say, it's a hard job for a coach because if I teach a kid and I'm a good coach on that aspect, but you don't get a kid in the school, it's kind of like it's a catch-22, but at the same time, you know that like I say, if I go win 10 state championships and I only send 3 kids to college, to a lot of people that titles me a bad coach, which is crazy, but that's just the landscape of high school football and how everything goes at that aspect. But I enjoy this process of it because I like teaching more than playing. But man, high school, this is a tough job. That's not built for everybody.
No doubt. I can only imagine with NIL, recruiting, like dealing with the parents. It's a lot that come with it, man. What type of hurdles you run into with all of that, dealing with parents trying to get offers, and the ones that do got offers, trying to guide them how to handle the process correctly. Like, what's that like?
And also, like you said, it's pretty much free range recruiting in high school as well. You got to worry about the rival school coming to get guys too.
For sure.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of like the biggest hurdle because it's like a kid could love you to death, but a parent could feel like, oh, you should be doing more or things of that sort. And then you also like because how it is now, parents don't look at what you're doing for their kid; they look at what other kids are getting. Like, okay, if I have a kid that's my kid may be 5'10" wide receiver, but they go look at the rival school kid who's a 6'5", 6'4" receiver, and he's getting a lot of recruiting. Then they feel like, oh, my kid should have that too. When we all know the landscape of how things are, measurables matter when you talk about recruiting. that stuff kind of like plays a part that you be like, that's out of my control, but that's what people pay attention to, and they'll say, hey, he needs to be getting these type of offers too, which I tell people it looks good but measurables are the most important thing, and of course film when you talk about how kids get recruited these days.
No doubt.
Yeah, they definitely think that the 5'8", 170 kids soaking wet deserve all the love that 6'2", 215 kid getting. Um, that's something you got to deal with for sure, man. I know there's a lot of local kids in the Ocala area that's some pretty good ball players. Let's talk about them for a second.
Yeah, we got a few little kids. Got a kid that's at my school. Two kids, Andrew Zock and Caleb Rollison. Caleb's a receiver. That's Caleb 6'2", about 6'3", 200 pounds. Caleb's gonna be legit. Andrew Zock, I'm trying. I like keep trying to poke Florida State at him. He's a linebacker about 6'2", 240, but it's hard. That's the type of hard that's you deal with that people think because you went there, they're going to take your word for it, and which I know that the kid can play, but I want to see, which you probably do too, CJ. I want to see Fred Gaskins go to Florida State. Like I need him at Florida State, and I know they've been on him, but he goes to the rival school here that we play against each year, which is Vanguard.
Vanguard,
That kid is legit.
Yeah, because me and Silk had this conversation about Fred a while ago as far as this recruiting. I like Fred a lot. I mean, I think he's a ball player. But the only thing, like you said, people talk about the measurables, this, that, and another. But when it comes to straight film, how he play, man, I think he's one of those guys that could definitely play on that level for sure. I like Fred a lot.
But like I keep telling people, Fred is similar to, and I tell Florida State fans this because of course they can relate. But he's similar to Jamie Robinson that just left. I say he'll be that type of player. Like he'll be that guy that you say that might be a little undersized, but he's physical enough to come make tackles in the box, and he's skilled enough to go outside and cover those guys that you need to cover. So I tell them, man, measurables look good, but man, it's certain kids that hey, you got to throw that out the window for. And I feel like he's one that you can do that with because his knowledge of the game at his age is above a lot of kids.
It's crazy you mentioned that because I was talking to one of my buddies that live in the Ocala area, Chris Bennett, and he was telling me pretty much the same thing. Like Fred, literally verbatim, when it comes to measurable stuff, he's one of those kids you throw out the window because he's just that good of a player.
Yeah, because he like I say, we play him every year. He starts at quarterback for the team, and he starts at safety. And for a kid to be on offense calling the plays and making those decisions, and then on the back end calling the defenses as well. That's something that tells you the kid got a lot of intangibles that many don't have. Because I like I say, I've been around high school football for a little while now. You don't see too many kids doing that type of stuff.
Hey Greg, we talked pre-show. You got to see Jeremiah Smith this past weekend. What's your thoughts on Jeremiah Smith?
I like him. He's a good. He's got good size on him, and he runs good routes. And that team, what I didn't know about their team is they quarterback my height. Like man, they got a nice little team over there. Him and the other little receiver. What's the other one?
JoJo Trader.
Yeah. They got a nice little chemistry, and they route running, physical, good sized kids.
Last thing before we get you out of here, Greg. I just want you to tell us what this means to you. Your top 10 in catches, your top 10 in yards, your top 5 in touchdowns at FSU. When you hear that, man, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, and I tell people the crazy thing about it is I'm probably the one guy on that list that I never led the team catches in a year that I was on the team. And I told him if I just wanted one season to where I was that go-to guy, and I feel like I would be up there at the top, like as far as one or two, which I still appreciate, but I love it, and I know it's something that shows you what your hard work and done paid off, but it's something that kind of speaks volumes to me because when you talk about Florida State, it's been a lot of good guys come through there, so to even be on that list is something amazing that, like I say, coming from where I come from, it means a lot because that's all I really wanted. I didn't really care about anything else but making sure that when I left Florida State, people respected what I did and my time there at Florida State and the type of player that I was.
That's real, man. Well, it's definitely been a pleasure to have you on for sure, bro. For sure.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh man, hold it
Good
down.
luck on your upcoming season.
Yeah, definitely good luck. Good luck, North Man, is upcoming year. And anytime you want to join us, man, just let us know, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Likewise, better take care.
It's the roll up, it's the vibes, man. Great conversation with Greg Carr. Enjoyed that one. My man S. Dot said in the comments after Greg was talking about his linebacker, he said, "Man, nah, that's not a Randy special."
Oh, nah, well, I was thinking that. Say once he's 240, nah, Randy definitely answering the phone call for that. Ain't no 240 linebacker, but this ain't Miami no more. He ain't answering them calls for sure.
He actually sounds like a linebacker.
Right, yeah, he ain't answering that.
So
if it ain't 210, 215-ish,
hey,
we ain't going nowadays.
Linebackers of the future, man.
Right.
Wiry kids. Randy know what he's doing. Keep Randy.
Real good conversation though with Greg Carr, man. One of the FSU greats as far as on the receiver position, the jump ball, man. He was a touchdown making machine at one point.
Yeah, Crow ain't tell us about getting.
Yeah, Crow ain't tell us about that story, man.
Tell us that story. Just run it back when he get back on. We got to bring that story back up.
Right.
Tag him in it when we post it on Twitter. I had an epic week, man. My Gators had an epic week. I'll get it started, man. This is Big Three Talk. You know, it's the fun part of the show. Talk a little bit of recruiting and whatnot. But my man Billy had an epic week when it pertains to all-time Gator weekends, all-time Gator recruiting. We've had some GOATs, especially like with Urban Meyer. He's legendary. He has some legendary runs. Muschamp has some legendary runs with getting some recruits. But Billy's haul within technically 55 hours was something historic that went down. It's definitely much needed. Right after the official announcement, because the last show we had was the Friday before the official Austin Simmons flip. That's how long it's been since we parted on the Friday. It's been a little bit longer than a week, you know what I'm saying? But Austin Simmons flipped that Saturday morning and reclassified, like we thought he would reclassify, to Ole Miss in Lane, you know, in the tweets. And it was a lot of bad PR, a lot of think pieces flying. So the avalanche of commits that came in was definitely on time. I expected like.
I ain't gonna lie, boy. Y'all went crazy. I'm glad I was in Mexico for the most part. Chilling, man. Y'all boys went crazy with
when we got about 3 in, all I seen was Florida State sandals and then the ocean. I was like, okay.
It was perfect timing though, because when I got that Simmons when the Simmons notification, that's when I was pretty much just waiting to get in. So I had my phone. I had a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I get back to my phone after doing some shit. No, these boys kind of doing their thing. Let me continue to enjoy my vacation.
I was being petty in the group chat. Well, I was texting Lion, "Hey Lion, I need a new graphic. Lion, I need a new graphic." I said, I know these.
I saw all that shit. Hey, I did my best. I ain't see that impression all time. Let me get this graphic. Let me get this graphic.
I was on vacation, baby.
I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, man, get out of here.
So text me on the side. I said, nah, how they gonna see you talking shit if I text on the side?
Oh yeah, I definitely read the room. I saw what was going on there. Drop this one, drop that one, drop this one. I'm busy.
I told y'all June, man. It was a lot of June jokes, man. But I told they had some shit they had been planning and working on. And I still stand by, like, and I'm gonna shoot my trolls, and I'm gonna troll Florida State and Miami for not having somebody pop on campus. But that's really not the wave, and a lot of that was orchestrated. and a lot of recruiting building leading up. But on a random visit, most of these kids aren't just finna pop like this, man. It's business going down. It's just not the vibes. But Billy overcame all the odds of all that. The first one to commit was Amir Jackson, 4-star tight end out of Georgia. We ran down on Mario Cristobal, told him hand over all the bread. Right. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Easy process, man. His recruitment came down to us in Miami, but I thought it was a wrap once Georgia landed their 2 tight ends. It was like three times he's been on campus. I was kind of hoping he'd pop, and if it didn't happen this time, I said on stage, Miguel, if it don't happen this time, it just ain't gonna happen. Sometimes you wait for a kid forever, and then it just never happens. And that's always a bad sign when you lead for a long time and it just won't pop. That ain't never good news, man. So he popped. I think he's a player that's in a similar mode like a Cornelius Ingram. If you see some of his film, he plays a little bit of everything, a little safety, a little receiver. They got a ending around that he did, and he hits like 20 miles per hour. Clocked that at from some analytical nerd that was clocking people via videos and whatnot, and he hits like 20 miles per hour. But a guy that can stretch the field from the tight end position. We wanted a couple more tight ends, but we got some tight ends kind of re-solidified themselves. So we may be done. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. There is a couple tight ends that we're evaluating, but right now it may just be a one tight end. We may try to get somebody out of the portal, but a really good get. Like where we at with, we are recruiting the Caleb Odom's kid, but not at tight end. We recruiting him as a wide receiver. So I know a lot of teams around the country are recruiting him at tight end, but we aren't. The next commit was Amiris Williams, 4-star defensive lineman out of North Carolina, 6'2.5" edge rusher. He's gonna play the buck position. His recruitment came down to USC, Oklahoma, Auburn, Tennessee, and Missouri. One that came out in North Carolina, of course, in North Carolina State, the home programs. But this one came out of left field for me. I didn't have him on my commit watch. I thought we led in his recruiting, but the vibes was flowing. My man coached Spencer, Coach Chaos in the trenches on defense. He's having an all-time haul right now. Where our linebacker class at, and our defensive line class at, and I'll get a little bit more information on this at the end of this conversation. But you're talking about all-time hauls in the front 7 right now on paper. It's gonna be one of our best classes ever when it pertains to like star ranking. I think a couple of these guys are gonna sky up to like the top 75, top 100. Nazir Johnson is one of those guys, 4-star defensive tackle. He was the next to the commit. He's out of Dublin, Georgia, 6'4", 300-pound guy that can do backflips. Florida State was the first to offer. We had to run down on y'all too, CJ. Sorry about that, man. But Mike was the first to offer. I appreciate Mike and his evals. Nazir Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that was a whiff for sure. That was definitely a whiff. Yeah, I know Odell wanted him pretty bad, and then there was a point in time where, like I said, it was the first offer. I think he just said officially was left. I think it was in a real good spot with him after like the junior days. Was supposed to, but for some reason, communication. Well, I'm not gonna say for some reason. I think I know the reason. The communication kind of died down between FSU and him. Just like I said, being more consistent and within those trenches, we got to tighten up on him. But he was supposed to be on campus this weekend for the official visit, but he canceled, of course, after he committed to Florida. So yeah, that was he was a guy who was definitely out there for sure on the defensive line.
Yeah, we got him to come back to Friday Night Lights, man. I was following his timeline a little bit on the socials, and I saw Steve Spurrier in the building with them boys. I said, yeah, Billy ain't his bag, bro. He got former players, and there's Spurrier Steakhouse and Spurrier in the building. I like the strategy of what they got going on. Follow him up in the trenches is just more defensive tackle work. Makai Burrow, who checks in at 6'5", 340. I know they got him listed at 370 on the site, but I heard he lost about 30 pounds. He was working out at Friday Night Lights this past week, and this is a kid, one of the ones I expect to skyrocket up into that top 75, top 100. Right now, he's currently a 3-star, and it came down to us in Georgia for him. Georgia had the last visit. They brought in Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, the dog, the governor, Herschel Walker. They brought in the whole state. They brought George Foster in from the 100 Sanford podcast. Everybody was in the building, man. Kid leaves the visit and pretty much told Kirby to get his bowl cut into the locker and riding with the Gators. A really good get in the trenches. I expect him to skyrocket up the rankings, and it's just going to help our star quality and where our class ranking is. Next one was the trenches. offensive trenches commit. Marcus Mascall, 3-star offensive tackle out of Atlanta, Georgia. We camping out in Georgia. That's 3 in a row right there in Georgia. No, that's 4 in Georgia. Woo! Ran down on a lot of 1, 2. Yeah, that's 4 Georgia players. Shout out to that. We beat LSU for Marcus Mascall. It came down to us, LSU. North Carolina State was in it, but most of the crystal balls, most of the predictions on the websites were leading towards LSU. I still think we need to get our star quality up in the trenches. I know, like my man Bud Elliott said, it's a down year for offensive linemen, and you want to get some guys that are developmental and all that. But we're in it with some big dogs, offensive line still. Outside of star rankings, I think Ty Hilton is going to be one. It's a big 3 battle with some sprinkling competition outside of the state. We have Callaway. Ethan Callaway is another offensive tackle that we're recruiting in on. One of these guys we got to close on. I do like the conversation that I heard from Ethan Callaway and his parents when they left campus. We'll see where we all at with it after the dead period. I think he decides before the season kicks off, so we'll see where we at with it. On linebacker hall, we close it up. It's an elite haul, our best defensive haul, linebacker haul of all time. Shout out to Jay Bateman. They wanted him fired last year. Couldn't buy a linebacker last year. This year, don't know what happened, but it's clicking. Aaron Childs out of good counsel and the number 9 linebacker in the country. Love this kid. He can play either middle linebacker or jack, sideline and sideline fast. To me, I think this is like him in the last commit, Jamonte Waller. You make up for that Harold Perkins miss that we had on Billy's first cycle. This is the type of kid you make up with it with getting these guys and closing on guys like this. Aaron Childs' father is a Michigan fan. Most of the crystal balls, most of the predictions had Aaron Childs going to Michigan. Jelani Jenkins helped out with this recruiting. Jelani Jenkins played at good counsel as well in Maryland, same high school as Aaron Childs. But he comes down on the visit. Jay Bateman get in his bag. We had R.J. Moulton, the transfer that came over from Michigan, the safety, was his host. So a lot of strategy involved, a lot of negative recruiting. I appreciate my man R.J. Moulton for paying dividends already on the trail before he even touched the field. So shout out to that transfer for helping us out. But a very good get, man, out of the clear blue sky. I put him on commit watch, though. Every guy on this list I had on commit watch outside of Amaris Williams. But a very good get, all-time get. Best linebacker class for the Florida Gators ever on paper. Jamonte Waller, who's going to be a 5-star once On 3 get their act together. But I think this kid's a top 25 recruit, edge rusher. Getting him out of Lane State. Lane ran down on us, got Austin Simmons. He shot out some tweets for talking greasy, telling us what songs to play on our playlist on our Spotify. He talking crazy. Then next thing you know, Lane started deleting tweets. I think word got out. Hey, Lane, there's some crystal balls rolling in, man. We got our number 1 guy on the board in the state of Mississippi. He's out there vibing. You may not want to be talking to Greasy to Billy right now because Billy hot and Jamonte's out there. But, Lane had to lay down. Everybody got to lay down. If you ain't got that fire, you got to lay down. So we had to lay Lane down for the best player in Mississippi. Players don't even leave Mississippi like that. We overcame the slave belt and all that, man. Got my man in, Billy in his duffel. Right now we're top 3 or 4, no matter the site. Star rating is sky high. We thriving a little bit here. The 2025 class, Friday Night Lights just passed. I don't want to get, too ahead of myself, but Friday Night Lights just passed. And just hearing some great things from that class. Before I get into that class, Tawaski was we haven't talked the official visits from last week. So Tawaski Abrams visited us on an official visit. Heard some good things after that visit. Visit Florida State this week. I'll let TJ catch up. We'll have a conversation about him later. But I like where we're at in his recruiting from that weekend. I like where we're at with Isaiah Williams. I'm sorry, that's my receiver already got committed. He shut down his recruiting. Dre Hawkins is a receiver that's at IMG, originally from West Virginia. He visited Penn State this week. I think it's down to us in Penn State. Penn State just took 3 receivers. And like 2 of them in a similar mode as him. He runs a 10-3, 10-400 meters, so I do want him on my campus. My take between him and Tawaski Abrams, I think they're the same guy. I think you got a speedy slot receiver, so I would like to take one of the 2, but I'm not on staff. That's just my outlook on it. Wouldn't mind going after the Hartley Gilmore kid that reclassified from 25 to 24. But right now, that's where we at with it with our receivers. He's trying to flip Chance Robinson. I like where we at with that. Regardless of whatever emoji he put on the timeline, I think something going down. We'll see how it all plays out. But that's our receiver board for right now. We have Isaiah Williams locked in. Tawaski's a guy that we're gonna watch for Florida State. Got him on flip watch. Jeray Hawkins decides July 1st, which is next Saturday. We'll see where we at with it with him. And that's the board right now. And then we'll wait for the JoJo traders and Jeremiah Smiths. Everybody's gonna always leave a spot for those guys, but that's a +1 for us right now. We'll see where we at with it. DB board. It was good to get. I spoke about Teddy Foster last show, guy from Sarasota. He came on campus. Didn't make the Miami visit. Not sure what's up with that. Didn't get any feedback. But the DB board right now is Teddy Foster, uh, Jamari Howard, uh, Jameer Grimsley, and then Wardell Mack. I think that's our four. We had Kevin Levy, and we also had Jet Denson, but those guys both needed to work out for an offer. Neither has worked out. So right now there's no offer for neither one, a committable offer, I would say, for either one of those guys. So right now that's our board. Wardell Mack is coming back for the cookout in July. We'll talk a little bit more about that out there, before I wrap up my big three talk. But that's our DB board. Jameer Grimsley came on campus after all the fireworks. We were able to pull him in on a random Tuesday, and he slid us into his top three. Number 77 overall recruit. That this would to me, you take the first three. They like Jamari Howard, they like Jameer Grimsley, and they like Teddy Foster pretty much at the same level. Wardell Mack, I like Wardell Mack's film. He coming in at 5'11", 6 foot, but in my opinion, he's a take. I don't get caught up in some of the best Gator DBs all time is Janoris Jenkins and Joe Hayden, and they're not 6'2", 6'3" DBs. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes football players be football players. I love Wardell Mack's game. He's gonna decide in August, September, so we'll find out where he at with it. But I would like to fill up on Jamari Howard. I think as a kid's gonna when they start playing weird games like this, it was a big three battle, but I don't know how serious Jamari Howard is with narrowing down his who he's gonna pick is what I would say. What do you guys feel on Jamari Howard?
He ain't in a rush. From what I'm looking at, he ain't in a rush. I think it's gonna be a fall process for him for sure.
Right.
Yeah, he was just down in Miami.
I think he was at Michigan State. It's crazy. Decommitted from. I think he was on an official visit to Michigan State this weekend. But with him, I think it's going to be a situation that carries over to the season as far as him taking visits and things like that. It's it's different, in regards to nowadays. A lot of these kids are trying to have these situations wrapped up before end of the summer, before the season. But he seems like he's going to draw his decision early into end of fall, early winter for Jamari Howard.
Already. We'll see where we at with. That's gonna be an NIL play. But I like my board, and if I could get those three of those guys that's not him to kind of solidify my corners before the football season, I wouldn't mind doing that. Um, Teddy Foster's gonna be a ball player. We'll see where Miami's at with. I know Miami got some interest, but he wasn't able to show up. He also supposed to came back to Florida for a follow up visit during the week, and he couldn't make that because of his mom's job and work. So I get some updates from him next show. LJ McCray dropped the top 5 of Gators, Florida State, Miami, UGA, and Auburn. I know he's saying in December, but we'll see where we at with. I heard some smoke that he's gonna decide, or he could pop before the season. It's a possibility that him and the mainland boys could make something happen before the games kicked off. We'll see where we at with it. But that's my overall. That's my thing, bro. We good with it. That's my Gator talk.
Hearing a little Auburn smoke with LJ.
Nah, if he commits for the season to be Florida, if he doesn't, I think it'll be Florida State.
If you wait?
Yeah, if he waits, it'll be Florida State. In my opinion, if he doesn't wait, it'll be Florida.
Okay.
I ain't mad at that take.
So sorry.
If I got to bet my defensive line coaching and your defensive line coaching, bro, I don't like.
You can't go against Odell.
Oh, you can go against him in certain situations, but with this one, I don't know. We'll see how it play out. This one, what I've been hearing. We'll see how this one plays out.
It's still you gotta go the distance regardless. But I think we high right now. If we get LJ McCray to go on with the defensive line haul we got going on. There's some other names. Ross, the Justin Ross kid.
And I'm sorry for the road. Did LJ visit Miami this summer? He take an official visit to Miami?
No, I don't think we had LJ for official. Hold on.
Okay.
Double check. Don't.
No, my bad, but go ahead, sir. I was just thinking about that. I was wondering if he got in for an official with you guys or anything.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to do one during the season.
Yeah, man. And shout out to the new energy, man. I think Coach Armstrong is got that must-champ vibe to him as a recruiter. I know we got our positional guys are solid with the DB coach, the defensive line coach. Everybody on our defensive side of the ball can recruit, but changing that top guy, Patrick Toney was a real laid-back guy. He wasn't assertive, not a big personality, not a lot of energy. So bringing in a guy, a big personality from that same type of energy cloth as a must-champ in Kirby is paying dividends on campus. We got a big energy guy because Billy Napier's not a big energy guy. He's real laid back and chill as well. But now we got that energy guy that can close on that side of the ball. So hearing good things about him.
No doubt. Good for now?
Yes, sir.
I can jump in, I guess. Like I said, since we last convened, been a little minute, man.
Well, they said June 9th.
Is decision date?
No, I think LJ McCray.
Oh, he did? Okay. I can't remember. Shit all run
I think
together.
the only official visit he still has left. That's why I like CJ's take of if he's deciding later. He like Florida State because Florida State he's saving that visit for later. He hasn't made that official visit yet.
Yeah, I think for now it's supposed to be the Miami game, if I'm not mistaken.
Big mistake.
It's gonna be a big lineup weekend.
Oh,
I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna be a big. Hey, you can take it how you want to as far as what they're gonna do this that but that's gonna be a big ass lineup weekend. Like they definitely lining y'all up for that weekend.
I'm taking Miami.
That could be a good thing or a bad thing. Well, I think it's gonna be a good thing.
They got y'all. I think they got y'all at 16.5. For us, and I think they got y'all at 9.5 for Florida.
Man, we waited till the games get played for all that stuff to happen.
Yeah, that's why I want to bet it now.
Yeah.
Don't
get it twisted now. I don't know if it's gonna be that much. I don't know if it's gonna be like that. Don't get it twisted, my brother.
Come on, man.
Go ahead. Go
I know. All right, so we ain't had all the commitments Florida got, man. Shout out to Backyard Billy and the rest of the gang. Buckshot Billy. That was
Who got Billy?
Shout out to Billy, man. It was funny. I was talking to a guy at the bar the other night. He started recently listening in to us in Stadium and Gale, and he was like, I told him, I was like, now Billy was my number 2 pick. He was like, oh really? I was like, man, listen, I'm gonna keep it real. You have to look at the possibilities of who was out there, and I thought he was a good candidate. So I'm not surprised by some of the success he's having, early on right now, and especially at least on the recruiting trail. We'll see, see if they hold on and build upon it. We'll see how that goes. That's everybody though. So, we did get a commitment though. 4-star running back Kevin Riley, according to the composite, number 6 running back in the nation. He decided to go ahead and commit. I did have him on commit watch from the last time we did record. Justin Scott was my other guy that I thought Mike would, but he hadn't quite made a decision yet. His situation's still a little up in the air. Depends on who you talk to. Back to Riley. Really good gear here. Some guys are kind of comparing them. I thought it was I saw a Lamar Miller comparison. I don't know if he got that extra gear like Lamar.
Lamar got that crazy top end speed.
Yeah, I don't know if he quite got that, but a good take all in all. He was
seen the film, man, but they definitely sound like they lying.
A little bit, man.
I mean, who knows who's who? I don't remember
film just yet.
I don't remember how hyped Lamar was coming out at that time. I don't remember. I can't honestly remember how much of a
he was a track.
Lamar was that guy coming out, bro.
Yes, I don't remember.
It was a 4-star keeper. Everybody knew he was blazing.
Like
yeah. So good addition there. That gives us 2 running backs in the class. Gibson did decide to go ahead and commit to Texas.
Jared Gibson.
Yeah, Jared Gibson. Sorry, yeah, that was a guy that he kind of at a point. I did find where I said he had like his. He kind of narrowed it down to 3. I found that, but I can't remember it now. But ultimately he decided to go to Texas, which was the leader the whole time. I thought they did a good job getting into the fight, giving them something to think about. Like I say, he's at IMG, so there's a lot of IMG ties on the roster right now. But ultimately, he decided to go ahead and go to Texas. And they just had another 4-star commit running back.
Yeah, the kid was at after Christian Clark of Arizona. Tashard Choice, he's doing a hell of a job.
He's doing a good job,
out there in Texas.
Well, that's what comes right. Tashard Choice out there.
Yeah, remember?
I think they got him from Georgia Tech. They ended up plugging him from over there.
Days, man.
Yeah, yes. Tashard was a nice player.
Shout out to the job they did over there. So, that's
last year as well too.
That'll probably be, I imagine, our running backs for this cycle. Unless you can get, if you feel like you can get back in the door later on with a guy like Gibson. If you feel like there's a crack in the door, but I think they'll be comfortable going with Riley and Huntley, Wheatley, or whatever. Excuse me, sorry. As the running back haul for this particular cycle. I mentioned Dustin Scott, like I said just a second ago. He's a recruitment. He's the 5-star kid out of Chicago. It really depends on who you're talking to. Some people up in the Northwest think he's a good chance he'll stay up there. Guys like Will Fong and a couple others think that Miami's still kind of in the leader, in that recruitment right now. So obviously there's a little bit of a little disconnect and maybe the information they're getting on that one.
Man, don't start that D-line with him, man. Y'all say y'all was going to get a D-line haul now.
I mean, it ain't a whiff yet. I don't, depends on who you want to believe. That's what I was saying. I don't know. I have no idea. He clearly enjoys Miami, but so we'll see.
That's easy to do, baby. It's nice
very easy. So, we'll see. Because it's still I'm still kind of hearing Ohio State really not the business for him. But there was a time where Notre Dame was considered leader, maybe not so much. Now I'm hearing a little noise about they could be back in it with Michigan. So if you were to ask me today, I would say the top 3 would be Notre Dame.
Saying is just Midwest.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on what experts you talk to.
Yeah.
Fong still think he's coming down south. It was somebody else that thought he was coming down south.
Does he have a date? Announcement date?
No, he doesn't have a date just yet. So yeah, like I said, it just depends on who you tend to believe a little bit more in this recruitment. I would say the top 3 would be Notre Dame, Miami, and Michigan right now.
Okay.
I still don't fear that particular recruitment. I still think we're in good position with that one. So another defensive lineman came down.
Miami, that is a crazy trio. Now that you say that, CJ.
Oh, typically, just like I said about the
and he's from
the
Chicago,
Wyatt Gilmore kid that we brought in. He already made a commitment to Oklahoma. So I said then, I was like, they like him, but we were the only school that wasn't in that range. The thing I do like about us is he's a Chicago kid, so he's a city kid to begin with. So the transition wouldn't be quite as extreme as it is for some of these guys that live in some of these, smaller cities and towns out there in the Midwest. So I knew when the Wyatt Gilmore kid came, I knew that was like a respect visit. I was like, that kid he's not coming. And I just saw the other day he committed to Oklahoma. So this guy's a recruitment. I still feel good about it. I don't think it's over with yet. And a lot of these guys that we're recruiting right now, these guys are, it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a bidding war, seeing what business is, trying to move the number up, even if they want to go to Miami.
That should be easy work for y'all, right?
It's all negotiations, right?
I thought that was y'all bad. I thought that was y'all bad though. That part of it.
Y'all don't have no money?
I thought that was about y'all.
No, but I'm asking, do y'all not have money? Why is it hard for y'all?
That was the old Tate's song.
Is that hard for y'all? No, I'm just asking.
Hey,
There's no reports that Miami doesn't have NIL money.
Man, this was the old days.
No, I'm talking about today. I'm asking you today. Is the Swanks money dropping?
They the old days.
There's
So
no money
issue.
issue.
I'm asking about y'all.
I'm telling you that is not an issue. Money is not an
Those
issue.
ends, Bucks, man.
Money is not an issue. I haven't read anything of the sort. You know, I'm not in the meetings.
For 3 stars, then, like, what's going on that front? Y'all gonna get the big boys rolling in here soon?
I mean, them boys playing the game. That's how I feel. I feel like they're making their decisions and they're trying to move the number up still. And they may still end up. It may take less to come to Miami still because they may just enjoy the staff and all of that. They may trust the coaching staff and like the relationships better. But you know,
I don't know if kids taking less to lose, my brother.
Who said they're gonna lose?
Oh man,
you're right. If you get those guys, he can definitely.
I mean, yeah. At some point, the players, got to play the games. I mean, at some point, you got to do what you do as a player. We get.
CJ got some logic behind that though, right? Because I even said that myself. Like, we got to overpay if we're in battles with teams like Georgia, Alabama, because they got winning themselves. So overpaying kids to come there if you have. If you rebuilding, it's a thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's ain't no wrong with that either, though. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with it either because I don't think you can quote unquote overpay. It's your budget. You decide what you want to do with your budget. You put it how you want to put it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that these guys aren't having a number thrown their direction, which is crazy because I just talked about this shit too. Is you can't use it for recruiting, but clearly it's used for recruiting.
Coaches can talk now. Coaches can talk to these boys about NIL now.
I know, but it was never supposed to be a recruiting tool, correct?
No, it was never supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew it would be. Don't get me wrong. Like, clearly, it's a recruiting tool. But yeah, so if that's that, like I said, you play the game a little bit. You know you're a hot commodity. You see what this we're talking about, and do the total math. Sometimes they don't care. Like for instance, Brandon Ennis. Because, from what he said, he kind of had opportunity to get more money with Miami. He chose for less to go to Ohio State. Kind of goes with y'all saying about the winning side. So, it's a balance.
I think that was a business decision too.
Because he feels like he got a better ceiling in Ohio State. That's it. Yeah. I get it. So it's all about balancing it all out ultimately.
I also think too, like a little of that's because I'm hearing that come up in Jeremiah Smith's recruiting. I think a little of the notion that Ohio State don't have like money for these big time recruits in the NIL is a little embellished, bro. They got some bags from kids, and I think just like Enos was, I think Jeremiah Smith is using like leverage with all these visits and everything to push that number in the NIL up a little bit.
Yeah, and then he'll make a decision. Maybe ultimately it'll just come down to the money. Maybe it'll just go, I better, I think the long money's over here, and I'll play this way. It depends on, we gotta remember this is all new. It depends on who's these kids' ears. Some gonna tell you to take the short money, some gonna tell you to take the long money.
That's a good point.
That's nothing new. That's been going on, since the days of the bag man.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
I know we didn't dive deep into any more of the Austin Simmons, but did y'all see what his dad said about the schedule?
I thought that couldn't be real.
That was
that a real quote?
That's Ole Miss playing the same damn schedule pretty much.
Yeah, it was like it's the SEC regardless, right?
SEC West, bro.
Yeah, bro, that's an even worse schedule. I'm not sure how it's gonna look now moving forward with the divisions being.
There's no divisions anymore, right?
Yeah, so that could look different. But I mean, hell, this, like I say, if it is the SEC West, it's the SEC and you're playing the same damn teams for the most part. Ole Miss isn't. They're not. I haven't seen Ole Miss have like a Georgia-like schedule walking around, So them boys pretty much playing tough competition as well. So that was
you ain't ducking no smoke in the SEC. Everybody got smoke, man. That's just what it is. And the league gonna only get tougher. But his dad mentioned the schedule will end lag way. Florida being all bought in.
I can see that.
Way. Yeah, combination of the two.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, but I was. I was like, ain't no way he actually said.
Yeah, once I saw the schedule, I was
crazy.
I just kept showing.
Yeah, because what's the? I mean, it's
like, come on, bro. The schedule be for real.
It's football, right? And the schedule.
But we talking about the same schools within the same damn conference, like
right, which is regarded as the best conference. So,
come on, man.
I mean, what are we talking about? Like, you talking about 1 year? The schedule's going to change up. I mean, y'all are getting rid of divisions. Is that?
Yeah.
Or is it going to still stay in divisions?
Pods. They're going to like some type of pod situation, man. There's a lot of nuances to what it's going to be, but
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna end up losing a rival or two here. Like I gotta get the science of what everything
how it's gonna ultimately mix out.
Yeah, but the whole league's changing, and like where it's going, well, college football ultimately going, you pretty much gonna have like an NFC and AFC type situation,
right?
In a minute, you know, I think Big 12, Big 10, SEC eventually gonna create some shit outside the NCAA, and it's gonna be kind of streamlined here a little bit. So it ain't gonna be no all the cupcake games and the easy schedules. It was never an easy schedule anywhere in the SEC, but it's definitely getting tougher.
And the boys gonna start playing each other twice a year. like you got to play in NFC. Like if you're in the West, you got to play. The Rams twice and the Seahawks twice, and that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. But I mean, the way the schedule's going, as many games they getting in, could be one day. But anyways, back to some recruiting stuff. Let's see. So yeah, Scott will to be continued on that recruitment. Still feel good in that one. Kamarion Franklin, the other 5-star defensive lineman, he doubled back down. He canceled that LSU visit, so I guess he just ultimately decided that wasn't really a school he was interested in. You remember I brought up earlier, I thought there had to be somewhere in there if he decided he still want to take an OV there. He was supposed to go, then he canceled and pulled up. We had Legends camp, so he pulled up to Legends camp, and he worked out with Jason Taylor. Nothing super crazy, some light work, getting some tips, get some ideas on how he would be coached if he were to come to Miami and play under Jason Taylor. So that was a positive sign for us. Most signs still point to us in Tennessee. It's kind of the two leaders in that recruitment. Again, probably looking at that NIL stuff again. You'll be looking at some bags again in that situation. So yeah, that was. I think he was only pretty much down for the camp. Did a little working out and got out of there. Because the camp was, the camp is the same deal. Basically, you got all the legends come in. I'm not rattling off all those names. It's the same usual suspect. A couple new people. Chicolo was out there. Duke Johnson. But some of your regulars, Bryant McKinney, Brandy Merriweather, a litany of Miami legends basically came through and did the legends camp, and that's usually for the underclassmen essentially. So you don't get a lot of 2024 guys or guys within that cycle that actually come through. We had a few commits come through, and then like I said, Kamarion Franklin came through as well. But
we gotta start doing some Patreon content. I got a funny Brian McKinnon story. I just can't say on the regular pod.
I wonder why you went to smirking. And you know what's so funny? I don't even know this story, but I know it's funny. I've heard other Brian McKinney stories, so it wouldn't surprise me. Wow. I can't wait to hear that one. But yeah, so he participated in that one. Again, things look good in that recruitment. I think it'll come down to us in Tennessee. I don't believe he has a date set as of yet either. Let me go to my notes.
I got a Warren Sapp story too.
Oh, shit! I think everybody got a Warren Sapp story. You probably can't tell 70% of them.
Yeah, I got some Tampa Bay Bucks Warren Sapp story.
Oh man,
I got some me at the W rooftop with Sapp stories, man. Dog could have probably. I was drunk and wilding, man. I'll go and say it a little bit, but I was drunk and wilding. I think it was like my 25th, 26th birthday. We down at the W, wilding out, being my dogs, and the vibes was big. I see we got a cabana, and our cabana just happened to be bigger than Sapp. So I'm talking crazy, doing Gator chumps, man, talking crazy. Man, a good 30 minutes go by. I got a bunch of chicks in the section. We hanging out. You know what I'm saying, Larion? But his biggest flex was getting me the hell up out of there, man. He got me and my whole crew kicked out of the pool party, man. And Gator chumped me on the way out, bro.
Oh, man. That's messed up. See what money do? That's messed up, man.
You had the biggest cabana.
Yeah. Now you don't. Ladies, are y'all leaving? Did the ladies leave or they home back, man?
Yeah, nah, we just left by ourselves. You know how the vibe
Nah.
is Miami, man.
Yeah. Hey, the bag choosing. Go back to NIL again, staying along the defensive line, 4-star Artavius Jones came through, kid out of Bluntstown. He projects probably be an interior defensive lineman. Talking about possibly a July commitment. Things went really well there. I think it's down to let's see, Illinois, UCF, Wisconsin, FSU, and Tennessee, as well as us. So they made a great impression with that particular recruitment. Y'all still in that one? See?
Yeah, but I just don't like the approach to it. I think there's another kid that they're trying to use the in-season official visit with. I think they got to reevaluate the approach of some of these guys, especially him because he's from Bluntstown, Florida. Country small as they're like about an hour from here. The first big city, this, that, another, official visit, roll the red carpet out, eyes gonna be wide open, want to jump. I'm not saying you guys want this, that, another. I just feel like with that type of kid, that's when you want to bring it in the summer and try to wow him now to get him in the fold, which I think y'all pretty much are probably doing right now. So the approach of him, he's a guy that was saying FSU led, and he's a big FSU fan, this, that, and other right down the road. So you knock that out this summer and put out and recruit him and do your official visit, and then go the process moving forward. But this passive aggressive, just trying to put your big eggs in the basket. Even for this weekend, it kind of backfired on us a little bit. We put all the eggs in the basket with this last big official visit weekend. A lot of cats visited early in June, and a lot of those guys committed elsewhere. Same with this situation here, kind of holding your eggs in the basket in regards to a fall official visit. Some kids you gotta jump on. I think we overplayed our hand a little bit, put it that way, within the couple kids. Overplayed our hand in regards to that.
There's some science to and then the drop off from your A to your 1 to 2 option, right?
And that's another issue too. We don't do. I talk about all the time. It's like I'm talking about a different corner every damn weekend, right? Well, every damn week on the show, we have a very wide net in regards to DBs that we're after. I could tell you 2 to 3 full defensive tackles, if that, and then after that it kind of goes, well, I don't know. I can't really tell you too much. And that
get shaky after that.
Correct. So that got to be addressed, especially a position like that. I mean, I get to my stuff in a second, but it got to get better. Got to get better.
All right, couple more across the D line. 4-star.
If he does commit to y'all, I think. Sorry for the red again, but if he does commit to y'all, we'll see how it plays out. I think he'll be a guy that probably takes some in-season official visits, but I think
keep
you guys
fighting for him.
Yeah,
they say it's around that corner too. So
trying to get him on campus now and wrapping that shit up right now.
Right, got you.
Y'all extend them defensive line coaches, CJ.
Oh no, I hope it.
Odell don't even have a contract, brother. Yeah, you just get the same check you've been getting since
day to day.
Yeah, you been get the same check you've been getting since 2004. They just keep coming in. He don't ask no questions.
Right.
4-star defensive lineman Kendall Jackson, out of Gainesville, Georgia. Things went really well with him. Yeah, I think kind of the read on that one, it was UF Kentucky leading that battle. I think we did a great job with getting back into that one. He is committing on July 20th.
Here's the thing with Kendall. Shout out to Kendall. I know his peoples. I'm supposed to be doing some content together. That's who I'm doing that barbershop show with the Florida Players, the NIL show. His mother and stepfather. But I think right now, with what we just hauled in at defensive tackle, he was a plan B for us. I think he's a plan B for you guys as well. And I think Kentucky is treating him like a priority. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because you're in a situation that CJ was just saying that his guys was in. So you want those, you're going for the whales. But if you wait on those guys and a guy like Kendall Jackson going to side of Kentucky, now where you at with what's your plan C? Because your plan B is going while you was trying to get your plan A.
I think we cast a big net in general on defensive line, but I agree, and that's why I said I thought to really call it successful. I think out of I would say like the probably big 6 that we went real heavy in on. I think we got to land 3 to really count this successfully, because as you string these other kids along as B's, then you just, like you said, now you got to move to C. But they did do a good job of there's a big net there, but some of these kids are choosing up as well. Like, the kid that they actually liked out the Midwest that chose Oklahoma. Who's the other kid I just saw? Oh, no, he hadn't made a decision yet, but like a Jericho Johnson, big 4-star defensive lineman out of California. There's more smoke that he probably stay out west, maybe Oregon, Washington. So you gotta, if you're gonna go big like that, it's so important that you land at a pretty good percentage, or you're gonna be looking around the room trying to scramble, or trying to double back on the recruitment.
As long as your board is okay and it's not, as long as you got options, man, you could go hard for those big guys. Like you say, it's a fine balance, so like you said as well. Yeah, you got to. Correct. It's a fine balance.
Yes, it's an art to it. Yeah, of keeping, and I know that's what they try to do somewhat, to build the bottom of the class. By taking some of these guys early, so that they didn't have to put too much energy into them any further. Guys that they think could be maybe underrated and or maybe possibly developmental guys. And then now you swing around and try to focus in on the big boys. But that's why you really want to kind of see one of the big boys go ahead and jump in boat, because you might be able to, start a little momentum there as well. But, we'll see. We'll see how that situation continues to pan out. Let's see, go to the other side of the trenches. Not a whole lot of work down in the O-line. There was a 3-star interior offensive lineman, Zuri Madison. He came down, and basically now he's out of Kentucky area. It is now down to us in Arkansas. I think he has a commitment. Yeah, his commitment's coming up, I believe, next week. And we kind of both in the same boat. He liked Pittman because Pittman's an O-line coach. Same thing with Mario, O-line coach. So we just got to kind of battle that one out. 3-star kid, great frame on him. Him and remember we kind of talked about the Derek Plass kid before. When I got to actually see him, when I got to see that kid, take his picture stuff in uniform, I was like, oh, this kid actually has a really solid frame. Big, tall, 6'6" type guys, and no bad weight really. You're not looking at guys that you got to trim down and kind of rebuild. These are guys that you would just want to add some additional mass to. So I see where they're going with in both of those recruitments. So I know I mentioned that we made some headway with Derek Plass as well. And just like I said, looking at the framework on him, I definitely think he's a good kid to bring within this class. Same thing I would say here with Zuri Madison. Commitment coming up soon. Probably a toss up. We have been in on that commitment for a little while. So it's not a brand new one. The relationships have been built there as well. And I misspoke before. Papa Afua, he hadn't made that visit before. He just came in on the visit. So he originally was scheduled on one and ended up pushing it back. Again, great job there. Good relationship with Francis Mauigoa. Another situation where Coach Joe Salaveras is helping us out, with the Polynesian ties. Looking good there. He said that distance won't be a factor in that particular recruitment. He's a top 100 kid. I think he's right in the 70s, right in the early 70s, I want to say. Main competition right now will probably be A&M and possibly Utah. Utah does well with the Polynesian kids as well, staying a little bit closer to that coast. But I think we're right in the thick of it. I would probably put us in the leader in that one. With A&M and Utah, like right there on our heels. I don't think we have a date yet. I do know his parents really enjoyed the private school setting as well. That was another big thing for them. They like the small classroom features of Miami. So
like the small indoor facility as well.
No, but that's being taken care of. They're gonna stretch that out. We're gonna get the other 30 yards, man. I told y'all we appreciate it. That will be taken care in a short time.
Is it the same renderings as the stadium that Ruiz had? Or?
No, this is done. That was a make believe. What's that thing the kids play?
Sims.
Sims, yeah. That possibility. This is a real deal.
Yeah, we said we go.
Ground's supposed to be breaking.
It's breaking right now. You got a whole neighborhood right there, bro.
Yeah, fuck the neighborhood. I mean, honestly, fuck the neighborhood. I'm with him on that.
That shit had like a convertible roof, like a dunk and all, man.
Shit was fire. Shit was fire. People ain't going for it though.
He was up all night on Sims.
On the lake and shit. I was like, oh shit, they waterboarding.
You made it nice, boy.
Yeah, it's a impressive draw up. But yeah, long reach there trying to get these people to agree to it. See who else came around. A little, I mentioned Jamari Howard. He was on campus. Not a lot to report there. Kind of I think drags us out a little bit. A new name on the board at cornerback. I think it's Romanus Frederick Jr. From St. Thomas Aquinas. He committed to West Virginia right now. He's a flip candidate. He's a guy that they like just his size and length. He's another one of these taller, taller kids with a long wingspan, with a wide wingspan. Excuse me. Let's see. Who else? Jalen Hayward. Another kid we looking at. He's out of Rockledge, right around the corner from me. They still saying he's saying the right things about UGA. He's been on campus quite a bit though. And I think part of it may end up coming down to how UGA views him. I don't know if they still see him as a safety. I know we view him as a corner. So I kind of feel like if UGA sells him as corner, they'll probably be able to hold on to him. If he's not totally in that they believe that, I think we look real good in that recruitment. So I think that'll ultimately.
What does he want to play?
I think he wants to play corner.
Okay.
Yeah. I think corner is his preferred position, and you gotta remember, UGA had those safeties locked up as well. So I think that's why it becomes a little bit murkier. Like, well, if y'all want me as safety, then I'm not as interested. If you want me at corner, then maybe we got a little more to discuss. That's just my read on the situation. Lawayne McCoy was down. He was there for a 7-on-7 as well. He was kicking it with Mario. Nothing new to report there, except he ain't going to Florida State. But that's old.
And I got some disheartening news. Yeah, I think Mom's was there this time. I got some disheartening news that I found out about that too, bro.
What's going on?
No, I mean, nothing crazy, but I was told that FSU wanted him as a DB and not as a receiver.
Oh, Lord.
I didn't like that.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I think he's a better receiver prospect than DB.
Yeah. I agree
like,
that too.
Real quick, where you guys like Kevin Levy at? I know
you like him as DB too. So it's some. I don't know, bro. It's a lot of. I thought he was receivers.
Not agreeing with evaluations.
I like Levy at DB.
I think he's a straight DB. I think
down
Wayne.
With Mike, man.
I think Wayne. I don't know if it's Michael, whoever making these calls, but I think Wayne is a receiver. But yeah, Levy. I like him as both. He could play either or. He's a good prospect regardless. But he's been looked at as a DB as well too.
Okay, a couple more kids and I'll more players and I'll get up out of here. Ricky Knight, he was down as well. Still a tight recruitment. He's still talking about Illinois. Illinois did good in the draft, so I kind of get that. Miami, FSU, and Illinois. I think he's just still a little torn on the decision altogether. And I think this is one of those things, like CJ saying, that maybe you guys are slow playing them a little bit for guys that you got slightly higher on your board. Not that they don't like Ricky. So I think that's one of the ones where he got to decide. Do you go where you just want it?
Thing, but then after that official visit last week, and it was looking a little different. So I'm just gonna wait and see how it plays out with him. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
Man, yeah, better call Ricky, man. Y'all boy about to get ran down on, man.
Yeah, Ricky nice though, but I like him a lot. So
yeah, I think it's a matter of he been there a ton. I mean, he's in Miami backyard all the time. I honestly think the kid just like both programs, and it's just kind of just a tough decision for him.
He transferred over from Benjamin over to Jack Daniels over at Carter Newman. Both of those are Gator guys, but big news in Palm Beach County when it pertains to those. Those are the top two programs. So he did make a switch.
No doubt. Yeah, I just want to kind of monitor for a little while longer. I think he's supposed to. Yeah, he's committing the first week of July. So, I toss up. I still think it's Miami FSU. Toss up tight situation. We'll just see where he ends up ultimately.
Y'all scared to talk? Y'all nobody confident here?
No, I just don't. I think it's FSU. I think if we really want him, I think it's
Push
FSU.
the button more.
Yeah, I really think
and that's
that.
kind of my feeling. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a slight FSU lean, but I don't think they pushing as much. And that's what I'm like.
That's why I'm saying I don't
sometimes
really,
kids, you got to go where they want you a little more now. You know. But
yeah, and like I was saying, based off the information I was getting, kind of going into the visit prior to the visit last week, I was thinking it was more that was kind of higher. But then after the vibe, it seemed like okay, they may be willing to take him. So I think if we really want him to be FSU, I just don't know how for certain. Like I said, we're after some guys, and then they talking about Wayne at DB, which I think Larion could be right. He'll be end up going to Miami at some point. But they're talking about him at DB, Levy at DB. So I mean Kevin Levy at DB. So I don't know, man. It's interesting to see how that DB board is playing out. They're after some guys for sure. Like I said, it's a big board.
Let's see, a couple more guys. Zay Mincy came on down as well. He's a guy that I think we've all talked about. Cornerback wants to play corner. They kind of let him know he can play a couple of positions in the secondary.
I've been telling y'all for a minute, it's corner for him.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what they tell him. Cornerback stars is kind of the vibes he's getting from Miami. He said the NIL is going to factor in, so it's business for him as well. He got a final of, let's see, Miami, FSU, UF, Tennessee, and Bama. No date set just yet, so kind of supposed to be going to sit down with the folks and chop it up a little bit more.
Feed his ass these Shannon Snell ribs in it.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Let's see. 4-star wide receiver Ja'Cory Barney. I'm sorry.
I like him.
He's a guy that, he rolls up on our radar quite a bit. You had like a Nebraska crystal ball. A&M was considered a school that was in there. We got in late, but all signs are saying that's not been a bad thing in this particular recruitment. You don't necessarily feel slighted by that, and we did a good job in getting in this recruitment and at least getting his attention and giving him something to think about.
So he was gonna be one of the ones that got away and be like, how we let this kid get
away? How he sneak out? Yeah, I heard he was killing shit out there at that 7-on-7, man. It was like,
I like him.
Eyes open, no more sleeping on cuz. So and I think that's all I really got, I believe. Chance said the visit solidified his commitment with the UM. There's a lot of that UF smoke out there. I got told, actually somebody, it's funny, they say, still told you that. I said, didn't tell me that, actually. I was told he was going to go to Flip, man. Hadn't happened yet. And he said it solidified commitment, so we'll see.
Y'all done locked it down?
Soon come.
I mean, you hope so. He ain't dropped the 100% committed joint yet. He ain't did that yet.
He ain't get that edit, huh?
Nah, he ain't dropped that edit yet. Oh, I'm sorry. A couple more things before I get out of here.
He already sat in the Maybach and took a lap around the corner in the fucking G-Wagon, bro. It's a wrap, you know what I'm saying? He had to do, get a local team, one last shot at it. But I think, Chance is going to do what he do, man. We're going to bring that boy into the fold. That's y'all top recruit. We're going to see what we can do with it, man.
Oh, man, don't do that, man. We need something. I ain't going to cash out you that money until
sign today, bro. It ain't no patient. I'm trying to get you to triple down on it, man.
No. Hey, I ain't no fool. Shit, no. It's called gambling for a reason. You ain't gonna win them all. Couple more.
The cap gun. See what I said.
That's what you said. That's what you said, man. Long way to signing day, though, man. I seen what you done. That's my man.
Done for others.
You don't play about me. You don't play about me, so I ain't really too concerned, man.
How your people feel about Darius Hayes? We're finna move on to CJ in a little bit. But how your people feel about Darius Hayes? We got to put out the commit graphic to saying that he's 100% shut down.
Oh, Aldarius.
Yeah.
Man. I seen that promise ring ass shit, man. I said, what kind of shit is this? Come on and hang out a little bit. It was so funny because he had just said that, hey, some Gators was getting on him a little bit for swinging by Miami. He's like, man, I deserve this opportunity. And, so they said, I guess somebody got on the horn with him and he decided to 100% shut it down. I respect it. Yeah, it was funny. That was funny coming right after he just visited Miami. Let me go over 2 more names real quick and be done for the time being. Jamie Trimble was a kid that I brought up that we might pivot to a little bit on the tight end room. A little bit undersized, but he did come out and test well for us. He had the furthest broad jump. He ran a 4.5 40 for Miami. He did go ahead and commit to Syracuse. I don't think we extended the offer still at that point in time. Just because I think he was kind of fit more the mold of Lofton, the tight end we already got recruited. So not that they didn't think he was a kid that would have been worthy. It was just not necessarily what we're looking to pull in on this particular class. If it had been maybe next cycle, it would have worked out a lot better. And one more name I want to bring up is tight end Davin Mitchell. He's a 2025 kid. He's reclassifying to 2024, and he's supposed to announce in July. He came down. He said that Miami's now number 1 over OU and Alabama, and he's committing July 8th. Supposedly love the staff and new coach, Coach Woodiel. Or Woodell, I'm not sure how you say that. So that would probably help balance out that tight end recruiting if that goes hopefully in our direction with him coming to make a commitment in about 2 weeks. So that could end up tying up our tight end class the way we would like to. So that's all I got right now.
Y'all at 28, you think y'all get top 15 before the games get played?
For games, yeah. I think it would be top 15 for the games. I think worst we do is top 10, honestly. Even if I lose the bet to you, I still think worst we end up is top 10. But I think we still in it with even like who's the wide receiver? Was it Wingo? I want to say. We're still in it with him. He's a guy that's going to take it. He's going to take it the distance. And I think, in all fairness, and this is beyond just the South Florida kids. I give them a little extra hell. I think it's fair these kids don't want to see something, especially with you going to a new OC and DC. They want to see something. Our offense last year was absolutely horrendous, and it's totally fair to say, hey, man, I got to see something, coach. I love you. You seem like a great guy, but I got to see something. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for them to get some proving done. And I think you'll shift a lot of minds then, but it's got to happen. Games, like you say, games got to get played. You got to prove something to these kids, and I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not upset with that by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I feel that, bro. You definitely got to show something, man. There's only so much Santana Moss film that you can show these kids nowadays.
Oh,
It may do wonders. Think the kids know who he is when Mario used that shit?
No clue.
They be at the camp. They be at Legends camp.
Yeah, Santana came through.
That's me right there.
Good way to keep your name alive.
You want to see my house? Let them talk. Still living good, baby.
Like, subscribe, man. Hit that like button. We'll appreciate everybody hanging out with us, man. We about to get into some Florida State talk with CJ.
All right, fellas, I'm going to go ahead and bring it home. I know we kind of running long. Ain't going to keep y'all too long. I know y'all got dinner to get to and stuff like that.
Boy, I ate all day, boy.
Damn, brother.
That's how Sundays be for me.
All day?
I was asleep, man.
All right, real quick, before we get into the official visits for this upcoming weekend, like Silk said, there was a lot of fireworks that happened pretty much after we recorded last week because, we did record early due to Father's Day. It was a whiff, man. Jason Zandamala, 4-star offensive guard from Clearwater Academy, ended up choosing USC. And this kind of goes back to my point about kind of putting all your eggs in the basket for one weekend. FSU was an amazing spot. This was a big whiff, to be quite honest. It was an amazing spot with him. As you guys know, Lucas Simmons, the previous offensive lineman, 4-star big-time recruit for the 2023 class. He was a teammate for Jason. So the relationship has been there for a long time with Alex Atkinson. My My bad, fellas. That's Eat Big Eat. Our producer Big E in the background. He'll be chopping up with me as well. But yeah. So going back to Jason, he took an official visit to USC, and they knocked it out of the park. Visit went so well, he went ahead and committed on the spot versus at USC and did not elect to take his official visit this weekend. That was a big win for Coach Alex Atkins and the staff, man. Just for the sheer fact, all the resources they put into the time of the relationship and things like that. We'll see. I don't even think, even with USC, I think USC is going to have a really good season. I think their recruitment is pretty much locked down. And he's an international kid anyway, so staying close to Florida isn't nothing, too big for him. So yeah, I think that's a big win for the FSU staff. But Coach Atkins, I spoke about this a little bit. So I'm going to get in this next guy. I'm going to talk about kind of coincides with what I'm speaking on now in regards to Coach Atkins. Been on campus multiple times. The visit went extremely well. He elected not to speak with the media. Took a side door out of FSU. But from all the information I've been hearing, this could be wrapped up pretty soon. Took an official visit to UGA, Kentucky, and LSU is another team that's been in the mix for his services. A lot of crystal balls have been going in with FSU currently. I think Coach Atkins pretty much sold this 6'4", pretty much play in a position on the offensive line, but offensive tackle is a position that we're looking at in the mat. And, a lot of people say 6'4", that's not really your prototypical tackle size, but he has very long arms, 7 foot plus wingspan. Kid walk, his arms are pretty much just dangling beside him. So, as far as the offensive tackle, that's the main thing is, your wingspan as an offensive tackle. And, of course, he has pretty good quick feet as well. So I think this commitment could happen pretty much any day, to be honest with you, as far as Jonathan Daniels. I think they knocked out the visit that much. 4-star quarterback commit Luke Cromahawk was in his ear a lot as well. So I think that one wraps up pretty quickly. His host was Darius Washington. Shout out to Darius. He's another Pensacola native, same with Jonathan Daniels. So they ball well in regards to that, and he's a guy that's pretty close to Coach Atkins, and personality type is pretty much the same type as Coach Atkins. So that relationship kind of translate with Jonathan Daniels. So I do think he'll end up being part of this class rather sooner than later. Mekhi Danzig, the 4-star running back out of Florida High, said the visit was great, very informative. Saw stuff in Tallahassee that he never seen before, even being from Tallahassee. This is another kid that they say FSU leaves for. Announcement should come this summer. He said he's thinking about taking official visits to Florida and Miami for the fall. But he did say the announcement could come within the next couple weeks. This is another guy I think could end up being a Nole whenever he announces. That could be any day this summer. It'll be before the season for sure. So I like where we stand with him. Blazer, speed. Went to a nationals event last year, finished second in the 400, running a 46 flat. So that was a PR for him. He ran a 46 flat, but that's a very impressive time. Very impressive time. 200-meter guy runs a 21 in the 200 as well. So elite type of speed. I think player comp probably be like Lawrence Tour Philly. So to get him and Cam Davis in the class would be really good.
Oh, you talking about my running back?
Who that?
Sorry, Mekhi Danzig?
Hold on, waste your time, brother. That cake bait.
Bait?
That cake bait. Okay. We put a bow on that, strawberry, whipped cream.
You told us about that, about Xander Miller, too. Salmonella, whatever the name is.
Salmonella. I'm telling you this about Dan's. That one is bait. That one is bait.
It's bait. Put him down for bait.
Man, Mike too nice on the trail, bro. I don't think Mike.
No, like hugging like that,
bro. Okay. He committed in a couple weeks. Just said his commitment coming in before season's end this summer, so he's going to commit pretty soon. So we'll definitely see where that lands him. But yeah,
Novell giving out more hugs than Dan Mullen wife, man.
Nah, she give out kisses too. She give out kisses. So
Mike might have to start kissing, bro. I know we doing the Mullen
step it up,
but he might have to step it up a tad.
Oh, nah, he ain't got to do that.
Easy.
Offensive players, defensive players, yeah, but offensive players, I don't lose sleep at all. I know offense gonna be perfectly fine under them as far as getting players.
Yeah, on Dan's, we of course we would want to extend. He said he's gonna probably decide before the summer. If we're in his recruiting, we lost Chauncey Bowens. We was shut down with running backs for the season, but we lose our top guy, so we're back in the market. We'll see if we can get him to extend that decision to December, or get him to come up to the cookout. See if we can feed him some ribs.
Feed his ass that Mac.
Already.
Yeah, so I like where we at with Danzy. He should be committed pretty soon. Big time playmaker, like I said. I love the speed. This one was a big surprise to me. Elijah Moore, 4-star receiver out of the Maryland area. He'd been on campus before in the 2023 cycle. Didn't really pay too much attention to it, but when he announced he was coming for an official visit, like, okay, let me look into it a little bit further. I love this kid film, man. Like, just from a physical standpoint, physical big receiver, makes all the tough catches, a lot of one-handed catches. I mean, this kid, he got film. He got plays on this film. He's just highlighting crack backing down players and shit like that. Like, he's one of them type of receivers. Like, he's not really the diva type of receiver. He's a dirty work type of receiver, real physical guy. Ohio State, even coming to the visit, I was like, okay, you got a lot of Ohio State crystal balls. They were the perceived favorite. He ended up officially visiting them, I think, June the 2nd, or something along those lines. Say FSU has jumped him as the number one school, jumped Ohio State, as the number one school. Say it's going to commit July the 4th. Say what pretty much draw him to FSU and what pretty much put him in the leader role of his recruitment, just the family outside of his family. In regards to that, said this feels like at home when he's at FSU. It was his second offer out of 8th grade, pretty much being consistent with that. So it's his second home away from home, man. So I will definitely, as far as where I think he'll end up committing, I think it'd be FSU. I really like this kid a lot. Big time player. So it's interesting. A good job to stuff Brian Hartline in the locker a little bit, because they definitely want him in this class, and he was a big time receiver. So to get this kid in the class, it'll be pretty interesting to see how the rest of the receiver board shakes out. And that kind of goes to my next guy that visited, James Madison, 4-star receiver. And again, like I said, the visit went well. You say he was pretty much just reassuring on the relationship side of things. He commits July the 4th also. I personally think the spot that he would have had is going to Elijah Moore. So we'll see how that plays. I think I'll probably put a pick in for maybe Missouri for James Madison. But again, we'll see how that plays out. These numbers at receivers have been pretty interesting, along with DB, so I could be wrong. They could take both of these guys. But in my opinion, I think that one position, or that one slot, will go to either one of those, and I have to put in the pick for Elijah Moore at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, your wide receiver board, like committed board right now, is Tawaski, Dwayne McCoy, a guy that you probably think is a defensive back. So, I mean, you guys should have a fresh board out there, kind of.
Correct, and that's why we got a lot of kids right there to receive. And a lot of fans talking about, well, damn, how many receivers going to take? I mean, you got to read the room. Tawaski, he's so. Of course, like you said, Dwayne, even though he's so as well, we're looking at him as defensive back. So that's probably 2 receivers at this point in time. So that's why they're still after guys like James Madison, Zion Reagan, who I'm going to speak on shortly. Of course, JoJo Trader, Jeremiah Smith, and the 5-star receiver out of Mississippi. Forget it, Cameron. So it's a lot of guys that are out there as far as receiver. The board will shake out itself pretty soon, I think, in regards to that. So no need to worry about how many receivers they're actually taking. Speaking of Tawaski Abrams, talk about him for a second. He said all the right things, of course, what he's been doing. Said it was reassuring. Said everyone got this image saying he's going to leave and go this way, but they don't know him. He said he's going to make a final decision in like December, some shit like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. With this kid,
You having a good time in Mike Wilt, bro. He's riding shotgun, man. You should feel safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, ain't the fact of feeling safe. It's just I just feel like a decision need to be made one way or another, because I think, and I don't think this was by coincidence either. Zion Reagan, a 4-star receiver from Georgia, pretty much the same type of build as Tawaski. I think he's better. Well, yeah, I think he's close to being better. Actually, wants a 10-3 in the 100-meter. Pretty much the same build. He's like 190 or something within the 247 composite rank. Ohio State and Georgia were the 2 other schools he's considering. Said we're pretty much in contention for him as well. So I think we do have one spot for that type of speed receiver, of Tawaski Abrams or Zion Reagan. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I know Zion, he said he's going to commit sometime in July. So we'll see how this plays out. I think one way or another, it's going to play out in regards to if Tawaski locks in, this, that, another, or if he's still kind of so-so, they're not going to really play any games to take Zion's commitment. So that's going to be something to watch out for FSU fans, just Zion Reagan's timeline and Tawaski Abrams and what he does within us in Florida. I don't think it's Texas A&M in the picture. I think Florida's the school he's considering. So I do think it wasn't a coincidence that Mike had both of those guys on campus at the same time. Pretty much mirror images in regards to the type of receivers they are. We'll see how it plays out. So I don't know, man. I just think go ahead and make a decision. I know for a fact that Billy in Florida, they're not going to play games with them too long. They're going to want to know a decision either or pretty soon as well.
Oh no, we pressing. I just got on the timeline. They're saying Dre Hawkins has changed his commitment to tomorrow. And I also spoke on Chance Robinson, so I know they're gonna be pressing. And the guys
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what kind of frustrated me. I understand it's a situation, but like you done went through, Texas A&M, Florida. You took all your visits, wrapped it up with Florida State, said you're pretty much done with the recruiting process in regards to that, and then when they press you, ask you, what is it with your recruitment, this, that, another? I don't know. We're going to see December, this, that, another. That's what I'm like, you got to figure out something sooner or later about what you're going to do, because I think these staffs going to start making decisions for these kids in regards to that.
Yeah, but I think, like, Mike's on his damn other stuff. He's giving them space to, the kid said in that same interview, because I read it and watched,
he's letting them pretty much go around.
He's letting them take his time, but it's all said and done. Just make sure you're at some point in time, you got to have these kids pull out that graphic that we had, the ransom note of, no, dog, I'm shut down. Even if you're still getting recruited, because these kids, it's a graphic. They don't mean they're going to start really texting these coaches back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not naive to that. But on surface, he's very open and very flirtatious with other programs. So even if Florida fill up, I still don't know how solidified and locked in he's going to be with you guys, because it's just like he's shopping.
Yeah, good luck with that, man, because I seen that backfire plenty of times.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll see how that plays out. Bet on yourself, but be aware of the situation as well. So yeah, we'll see how we'll see how it plays out with Abrams. I think I don't know, man. Hopefully within this next month we'll have something solidified either or. Jalewis Solomon like this kid a lot, man. Four-star defensive back. Said some good things. Said it was great. It was a great visit. It was one to remember. It told me how big of a priority I was, and I just love the culture behind Tallahassee. It always feels like home. Every time I come back, it always feels like I'm a fit here. They see me as a man corner, which kind of surprised me as well. I thought it was more so as a safety, but this film is all over the place. They see me as a man corner. They say I'm big and physical enough to play nickel even if I have to. So I'll be working both of those positions. They say if they need the ball in my hands, or they'll put me as a returner just to put the ball in his hands, because he had over 1,000 yards receiving as well last year. In regards to how his vision is being used at FSU, so he loves to play in regards to playing corner. Would do anything within this program to get them back up to the level it used to be. Would do anything for this team. He has a commitment date. Well, he does have a commitment date, but he said it'd be prior to the season or right during the beginning of the season. So I think FSU is in a good spot to land his commitment. He did say he did take the lead over South Carolina, Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Kentucky are other schools he's considering. And also he was on campus with his 5-star brother for the 2025 class, a linebacker in Zayden Walker. Like this kid a lot. He said a lot of good things about FSU as well. So I think Jalewis Solomon, once he commit, will be a no. The kid face lit up when they was talking about commitment and all that type of deal. A couple more names now. Go ahead and get this wrapped up. D.D. Holmes, 4-star defensive lineman out of the D.C. area, 6'6", 240 pounds. Jerry Verse was his host. So he wants to commit prior to his senior season. Got USC, Rutgers, and Maryland. Some of the other schools he's considering. So FSU showed him how much of a priority he really is, and that's pretty much all he wanted to see. So we'll see how that plays out. It'll probably be out of FSU and USC if I had to make a pick. This is an interesting one. 4-star tight end Colin Fox. He was on campus as well. Like the way FSU will use him. Also stated playing with Landon Thomas intrigues him. Him and Landon would be an unstoppable matchup for any defensive coordinator. And then there's a lot of USC smoke coming from UCF. A lot of UCF smoke coming from this kid as well. His commitment is July 4th. In my opinion, this is pretty much how I think this recruitment is going and what the pitches are. FSU is pretty much selling him on being a Robin, and UCF is selling him a Robin, and UCF is selling him on being the Batman within their offense. Yeah, you looking crazy. Like, what's crazy about it?
I really did, because I never heard of the Robin position. So
Not necessarily Robin.
I know.
FSU is
I really
him as
did get
far
it at
as,
first.
Oh, I'm about to say, what you but no, FSU is selling him as far as
I got it
matching
like
up
the
and
second
playing.
before you said Batman. I was like, wait, you talking?
You know, Larion lost internet.
He froze, man.
No, you froze. No, go ahead. What you were saying?
What you saying?
No, I said I got it like literally the second right before you said the Batman.
Oh, yeah,
So that's why I was like, wait,
brother.
the fuck is a Robin? I got
But
you.
But no, FSU, I'm not saying they view him as a Robin, but just the fact that how they're selling the position of playing together with Landon. And that's been a pretty selling point for those guys, is they've been best friends, this, that, and other. But I guess UCF is saying, hey, you could be the guy. And I know FSU is not going to be the guy. Landon Thomas is our guy, but the way he might use his tight ends, it'll be a lot of matchups for Kylan. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'll probably say UCF at this point in time, due to what I've been hearing. But I don't know, man. It's a weird situation. We'll see how it plays out. But I don't think, even if we whiff on Kylan Fox, I don't foresee FSU looking at any other tight ends or anything like that. I think they're pretty much sold on just taking Landon Thomas as the one tight end. There's a couple of the tight ends they got on campus that they're pretty high on as far as potential. So it'll be good on one. They're not going to be digging and fishing for a second tight end to absolutely take two. I think Kylan was a guy that just liked to match up with Landon Thomas as far as that situation. Now, if we'd have whiffed on Landon Thomas, that'd be something totally different. Then they'll be opening things back up for sure. But at this point in time, I think they'll be sold on just taking one. And speaking of Landon Thomas, he was on campus as well. As far as official visit, not going to go too deep into what he said. Pretty much everything that, he reassured everything in regards to why he committed to FSU in the first place. A couple more and now wrap it up. Luke Cromerhall, he was there recruiting for the most part. Said it feels really good. Say FSU, well, so he says he feels really good about a couple guys. Doesn't want to ruin anything, but it should be some announcement coming within the next couple of days from some guys that were on campus. Ty Hilton, the guy that Silk has mentioned, is pretty much a big three battle in my opinion. Visit went really well. Coach Atkins showed him the plan that he wants to have for him, and he was really taken to that. We'll commit in July. So we'll see the closer we get to his commitment date in regards to where he's leaning at. But I think FSU is in a real good spot for Ty Hilton, a really good spot. And especially with missing on Jason Zanamella, I know Atkins pretty much turned up a lot of heat, on Ty this past weekend. And last thing I got, Charles Lester did announce a commitment date. He's going to commit July 28th. So, the end of the month, the end of next month, rather, Charles Lester will be committing. He did end up canceling his Georgia visit, which was scheduled for this weekend, due to a personal issue, he stated.
That's all I got. That, or it's a wrap?
I think it's a wrap. I think with him, it's going to probably be a wrap after he commit. We'll see if he schedules something within the season, but as of now, it's pretty much a wrap for him.
You good?
Yes, all I got, fellas.
All right. I just saw a crystal ball for Kylan Fox to UCF.
Crystal ball from who?
Who was that? Oh, it was on 3. So
I think it was Chad Simmons. He
might have been. I just saw it.
Yeah, that was early from the day. Yeah, Chad Simmons. Yeah.
Chad took that thing.
No, Chad got pretty solid sources.
And Jeray Hawkins is committing tomorrow.
Yes,
now I just saw that as well.
Yeah,
tomorrow at 2:30.
I think he's ranked 176. Wide receiver originally out of West Virginia. He's about 5'10", 300-meter world-class speed guy. I like him at the slot. We get him. I'm cool with shutting it down with slot receivers and let Tawaski figure it out. And then we could go out to some more outside guys. In my opinion, I like Harley Gilmore, the kid.
We better get to figuring out real quickly, bro.
Yeah, we finna fill up here. We'll take chance. We're gonna put chances on the horizon as well, man. Y'all boys sit tight. Lead the timeline because Gator's gonna be on that bitch heavy again this week, early July. I know June was big, but we pulling 5 back out in July as well. Larion, when y'all popping off? I know Florida State saying they're gonna pop off in July. Y'all got a big July on the way? What's up with it?
No.
Nah,
I don't know. I think a lot of these kids gonna have in-season decisions. There's not a ton of these kids. There's a handful of kids that do plan on making some decisions right now. I think because some of the, like I said, the bigger names and stuff we're going for, these guys are gonna hold out decisions for a little while. But there's a few guys that could be popping next month.
Then one of y'all reporters say it was a certain day in July that's supposed to. Yeah, who said it? It was like a big July date. He doubled down on it too. I don't know.
We all got the cookouts on the horizon, so you might have been talking about the cookout.
Oh, cookout. You know, I don't even actually have the cookout dates. I have them for y'all next time. I was trying to find them real quick.
The 28th, 29th, around that time, all three programs I think will be having their end of the summer invited only type big hooray to close out the season or the off season, I would say.
You know, I want these ribs, man. I want to go to these barbecues and just see what the ribs hitting for, and then decide where I would go based on the ribs.
I like that for content.
Man, just like if it was purely up to the ribs, I'd be like, yo, let me get these ribs, man. And if it's a rib, it's a rib competition, such and such wins. That'd be great.
Should blindfold you and just give you 3 different ribs, and you decide blindly like that. I like that.
You got to blindfold me. I'll be
decision.
honest.
That's a good way to decide, bro.
Who got these ribs?
Yeah, you get TJ, how you feeling with your July? How you think you guys make up for it?
I think July is going to be pretty solid. Of course, I think Charles Lester, of course, he's at the end of it, but he's going to be in July. A couple of kids, just to throw some names out there, I think Jonathan Daniels could be June or July. That could happen pretty soon. I like where we stand at with Elijah Moore. So the 4th of July could be pretty interesting as well. So, yeah, it's going to be some – definitely I see a lot of guys committing off of this weekend for July for sure.
What do you think Mike should do? I know it's still – the games got to get played, but even when the games get played, I think your defensive side of the ball is your weak link, man. So, and then they're not holding up their end of the bargain on the trail as well. How you think Mike should adjust this next offseason?
Me personally, I think I'll move on for a few. I don't want to get into names specifically. I want to see how things play out a little bit, but I think I'll probably get a little younger, get some more just active recruiters on the staff, to be honest with you. I think offense is pretty fine in that regard, but defense, like you said, certain positions, I don't mind missing on kids, this, that, another, but when you miss on kids and then the board isn't plentiful enough to where, you have quality backups in regards to missing on those kids, then that's a problem. So me personally, if I was Mike, just to be where Florida State should be at in regards to, keep going in that trajectory, like you said, the standard and this, that, and another, I think we need to shake up a couple things. If you're not going to shake up things on field, then get you some killers off field that can really do that heavy lifting, and some real young guys off field that got some promising futures that can, go forward and recruit these type of kids and be the aggressive type of guy that you need to be in today's game. Because if you're not howling these kids 24/7, and I think that's probably the main thing within these staff. And I think that's also how you can see the portal success we have versus the high school success. Within the portal, you got 2-3 months in regards to locking in. Even if that's like on the long game, locking in on guys. These guys will make their decisions quick. So the staff is locked in. They're talking to these guys every day. They're engaged because that 1 month window is what we have. So that's why we see the high recruiting success in the portal, because they're all in on that. Versus high school, you got to talk to these kids pretty much a whole year in advance, every day or every other day, and build that type of relationship. And to be honest with you, I don't think our staff, some of the guys on staff, is just that invested to do that at this point in time in their career. So I feel like that's the difference between the portal recruiting and the high school recruiting. Now it's just the time. High school is a lot more drawn out. Portal is a lot more condensed, and they're focusing and they're going hard within that short period of time within the portal guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, negative recruiting is a thing as well. Right? If you're super heavy in the portal, I'm pretty sure somebody's saying that, hey, they recruit you in high school, but they're just going to portal recruit over you a little bit.
Yeah, just got to deal with that regardless, though, man, because the portal is the portal. I think that's any program as far as with these kids.
Took it over.
Nah, we didn't take it over. We just fine-tuned it, baby. Made it good. Y'all boys definitely in the portal. Y'all just ain't getting the Lambos out the portal. That's all.
All right, never mind. I'm trying to pay y'all a compliment.
Getting the Priuses.
Prius? Fucked up, man. Ain't got no Prius on campus.
Nah, y'all had a couple, man. That corner, that corner from Iowa, boy. That Prius
he ain't playing.
Exactly. He going. Why?
I think he ended up at. Where did he end up at? Penn State?
Oh, really? I knew, man.
He actually ended up a pretty decent program.
Good option. Yeah,
I can't remember. I can't remember where he went, but he ended up in a pretty decent program.
Oh, for sure. I was surprised when he committed. Real quick though, before we get out of here, One that a big 2025 recruiting that's coming down, and he should be deciding. I think July 22nd, which is my birthday. Shout out to that. Jamie French. He's heavily favored right now for Bama. Originally had a top 5 of Florida State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Penn State, and Bama as well. He visited this past at Friday Night Lights. He was on campus with some of his teammates. We got him coming back in this week for another follow-up visit with teammate Hilton Stubbs, which is a safety as well. So both of those guys will be back on campus. We're going to see if we can enter in his recruiting. He said Florida is definitely, he's going to make it a top 6. He loves that Billy's a wide receiver guy, and that, you know, his track record with the receivers that he had at Bama. So we'll see where we're at with it. A guy that's big time. I think he's the guy of the 2025 class. Right now, he's favored to go to Bama. How you feel about him, CJ?
I think it's an FSU Bama battle, real close. We'll see how it plays out in these next couple of weeks. But he did love his visit to Bama. He took a visit to Bama prior to his FSU visit a couple of weeks ago. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he was close to popping the Bama on that visit, from what I was hearing. So I think it's an FSU and Bama battle at this time. But I don't think whenever he does commit, say for instance in July, like I said, he's a 25 kid. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process for French for sure. But yeah, you're right. He is the receiver for the 2025 class. But FSU is in a really good spot with him. We got us quarterback Tramel Jones committed. But Bama and Saban is doing a really good job. Really good job.
We're going to see if we can get into that, man. I'm going to see where we at. He bringing moms back this week as well with some family. So we're going to see if we can jump into that recruiting. DJ Pickett is another 2025 kid. Like that, we solidified our 2024 class, and then, you know, got to work on Friday Night Lights for 2025. But DJ Pickett out of Zephyr Hills, Florida, another 5-star safety. I would like to he could play both ways. I like him on either side of the ball. We are selling him on possibly playing both ways, man. Tell all the lies you can. But he's going to be a kid that I think decides fairly early as well. Hopefully we get him in to anchor down our class to start off 2025. A guy that was down at Miami from Palm Beach, I know he made some ripples down there and a lot of noise. Nashawn Montgomery, wide receiver out of Carter Newman. Just watch out for him on the scene. He's gonna make a lot of noise in the recruitment world. Miami got a head start with offering him. I just been nosy and seeing that y'all peep game a little bit. So shout out to him for having a good weekend down at Miami. I already sent my staff to the deets. Hey man, y'all might want to get going on this one.
Trickeration. The game is the game, man.
Already. Any
gotta play it to win. That's it, man. Shout outs.
Shout out to the people, man. Shout out to Greg Carr for coming in. Solid interview. Dog was not with the official visits. He was not with the club, and he going with none of that. Yeah, respect.
Country ass, grown ass man.
Yeah, for real.
You don't think about none of that shit.
He call me if you need me to get you in, but don't call me to come with you.
Yeah, right. All right, these my people. All right, I'm out of here.
You're right.
I didn't know the whole gray shirt story of him
me neither.
Working and doing all that stuff. That was a fire story, bro. And I think that probably changed his trajectory and his focus as well.
Yeah, when you down like that and don't really have it, it lets you know it's a different type of hunger once you actually get it too.
For sure. Hey man, it's the Rollup, it's the vibe. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. July 6th, we're in the A, kicking it. Trap Music Museum. If you're anywhere near that, make some plans, pull up, hang out with us. It's gonna be a great time. Some fiery content, and the museum is actually absolutely the shit. If you haven't been there, Tip and those Grand Hustle guys did a great job putting that thing together, man. A lot of hip hop royalty in that building, man. Some fire art. So pull up, hang out with us. We with some former Big 3 players kicking it. Our first official media day. We in the A with it.
No doubt. See y'all in the A town. Larion's fifth home.
How many homes you got, bro?
No, I'm kidding. I don't really fuck with Atlanta like that.
No? I thought you was pulling in the Savannah, Atlanta thing like Big Boy.
Mary J.
Nah. Mary J ain't got nothing to do with Atlanta. Savannah. SAV. All day, every day. Nah, I always differentiate myself from Atlanta. But love to Atlanta. See y'all soon.